your picture only. So every time somebody talks, it would bring up just that person picture or your picture.
Okay. I'll look for that option. Because I actually need to see the screen as I'm talking.
I usually don't use the that particular part. I just minimize everything and I just work from there. All right, let's get bounce now. Akeem, let's go. All right, good night, everybody. Welcome again to another discussion. Good evening, good morning, whenever you're able to see this. Tonight we're gonna have another session. Again, welcome to JBL FC's Read the Game play. And this presentation will be done by the great Mr. Wade Williams, a gentleman I was privileged to meet while doing some of my coaching education courses. It's quite a delight to be in his presence. Usually challenges you a lot in terms of his point of view and the type of discussions he has. So hopefully we can do the same for him tonight, as I'm sure is gonna push us to have a great discussion. With everything going on and my background as a teacher, so this quote has been very interesting tonight. Don't worry, that children never listen to you. I found this quote very meaningful in the context of don't just focus on what you're telling the children, but also recognize that your actions as well teach them a lot. So it's not just do as I say, not as I do, but also your actions as well need to be ones that are totally reflective of what you're saying. All right. For tonight's player of the week, we have Mr. Fleety, and this is one of our local heroes in terms of football here. So let's take in some of what he had to say. Again, this week, or every week, will feature someone new. Let me just try to get this audio up. I'm not getting the audio. Let me try this again. Sorry about that. Not getting the audio. All right, let's see now. Getting the audio now. All right. No. All right, let's see again. You can get the audio. Whoa. This is what I was talking about, Wayne.
Yeah, man. I realize.
Yep.
It happens.
Right. So what we could do is probably allow you to do your do, and then we could always come back to this. Yeah, looking like that. All right. So Wayne, what we'll do here now is just allow you to go ahead and start your presentation. We could always do that feature on Mr. Fleety Grant another time. So feel free to go ahead and start sorting yourself. Wayne.
Should be ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone. Firstly, thank you, Theon, for inviting me to have this discussion, or at least to lead the discussion. I'm no authority on football. I don't think anyone should call themselves an authority on football because of the evolving nature of the game. That's why I think so many people love the game, because it changes so much and it has so much variance to it. I can say a little bit about myself before I begin, if you don't mind. My name is Wayne Williams. I was born in Trinidad, went to school, secondary school and everything in Trinidad, migrated with my Barbadian mother to Barbados. So I do live here in Barbados for a number of years now. I've completed my Bachelor's of Science degree in management. I've also completed a diploma in education at the primary school level. And I'm currently a full-time teacher at the primary school level here in Barbados. And I'm also a full-time coach from as recent as 2010. I've currently been said to have completed, and Theon would know why I say that, no certificates yet, completed the CONCACAF B license course. I've also completed the goalkeeper license course held here in Barbados a few years back. I've had the privilege of being the goalkeeper coach for both the senior men's and women's national teams in recent years. I was the head coach of a Barbados Premier League team, Britons Hill United FC, a club in which I've actually played, and I've won the Barbados Premier League title at least once. I've won the knockout title here with the same Britons Hill FC. We've won the first division title. If you understand the tier system of football in Barbados, there's the Premier League, then the first division, second, then third. I've also won awards for best goalkeeper for the Premier League and the knockout tournaments in 2008 and 2007 at all of 5'8". I think that says a lot. I've coached youth football from grassroots level all the way up to the under-17 level. I'm currently the under-17 youth coach for Pro Shotters Soccer School. That's one of the leading soccer academies here in Barbados. I say one of, but it is really the leading academy here in Barbados. I'm also the senior team coach for Carlton. That's the same club that Desmond Haynes played for in his cricketing career here in Barbados. Their football team, I'm now coaching their football team. And I'm also running my goalkeeping academy here in Barbados, Caribbean Goalkeepers Union. So you can see where I lead towards. Usually when Theon first asked me to do a presentation, I had to take a couple of days because the first thing that came to mind was obviously to do something on goalkeeping. But I've attended another Zoom meet not too long ago, and they went through some basics on goalkeeping, and I've done some research and I've done some feedback sessions with some of the participants, and everybody said it was too basic. So I know I have to dig a little deeper when it comes to doing goalkeeping sessions. So I put that aside. And I did this one on, as you saw the title, Systems of Play. So to talk about systems of play, I just wanted to mention up front that we have a numbering system, and I'm gonna go in extensively on the numbering system. Now with the numbering system, I know all of us as coaches may be familiar at one level or another. And as I said earlier, with the evolution of football and also with the various energies that you get from different parts of the world, some variance. And I know we'll get some challenges here tonight in terms of numbering system, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it. So I just wanted to have an understanding of it. And I'm going to show you basic formations that we can work with towards a system of play. But basically, why we have the number systems in this particular session is because we would have a defined function for each position. So instead of just saying a center midfielder, you don't want to just say, well, center midfielder. What is a center midfielder? Center midfielder might have different functions within that entire realm. So you call him a 6, you can call him an 8, you call him a 10, etc. Also, there are different roles and responsibilities. Even if you're speaking to your players, you know you want to be very specific about your player in terms of his role and responsibility within his position. So if you say to him, hey, you're the 6, especially in youth football, and they're now learning positions, because I strongly believe that at least up until under 13, players should have flexibility with relation to their positioning. No one player should have any one position that they play, and that's the only position they play. I strongly believe in that, at least up until the under 13, maybe even under 15 level. Even at the under 17 level, I coach my youngsters and tell them, hey, you may have a primary position, but you know you will also have a secondary position. And also for ease of communication with the number system, just saying, hey, you're playing 6, get on the field. You know what the 6 does based on our training sessions. So going forward, I just wanted to give a bit of a breakdown before I get into the depth of our formations that we are going to cover today with our systems of play. I've been made to understand the first international game. I don't know if anybody knows. You should know, man. Who played the first international game worldwide? Please don't say St. Vincent. I want to keep this interactive. Somebody jump in and say.
The same team you're thinking about.
Say again?
The same team you're thinking about.
What team is that? Not St. Vincent, man. Come on, man. No, man. The first 2 teams that played international football, or one of the countries call themselves the FA. Not even, they don't even call the country name. So, you know, England played in Scotland. And England played apparently and when I call formations, I usually call the goalkeeper position. You recognize I'm a goalkeeper coach, so I don't leave out my goalkeepers. England played in a 1-1-1-8 formation. 8 strikers on the field for England. And Scotland, 14 strikers on the field. And the score was what? 0-0. And that game was played in 1872. But then they had an evolution of formations. And a very popular formation that came up pre-World War II in the 1930s. That's a formation I kind of look to for guidance in terms of movement of players, systems of play, etc. But they stressed a lot on man marking in that time. So you push your 3 strikers up, they had the 3 defenders back, and you had firm man marking in that time. But then around the 1950s and 1953, I think that World Cup was 1954, when Hungary came up with this thing that we did with Pep Guardiola, i.e. Barcelona. But that false 9 situation actually was developed in 1953, not in 2008. And Hungary destroyed, I think it was England, in that World Cup. Then in the 1960s, Catenaccio came around. And that's basically what the Italians came with their strong defensive walls. Then Rinus Michels came in the 1970s. And you know, he came with the suggestion of total football. The research actually showed that Rinus Michels actually was awarded, I think it was posthumously, the coach of the century in the 1900s. I didn't even know that. And that's where the high press began. But I know I had the influence in me because of the club that I backed, the club that I supported from the very early 1990s was Arrigo Sacchi's Milan. And Arrigo Sacchi brought forward the high defensive lines and the flat back 4. So he came up with this 4-4-2. And I know I played some of my early football in the 90s. man markers and a sweeper. Some parts of the world might call him a libero. And that's why he came to understand football to be, but watching Arrigo Sacchi push his high back four up, closing all the spaces in between this total football that everybody else was trying to play. It destroyed a lot of teams, made me fall in love with football. In the Northeast, we had Pep Guardiola with the tiki-taka. I remember I even started talking formations necessarily outside of the back four situation with Arrigo Sacchi and the WM. And then in the 2010s, we had the Germans now and their strong influence with their, pronounce that word for me, somebody, Gengen pressing?
Gagan.
I just wanted to make sure somebody's listening to me. I thought I was talking to myself at one point in time. So I'm here looking to see where my screen would be. Okay. So if you want to go deeper into formations before we get into systems of play, and this is something I would be talking to my youth teams about, my senior teams about, because I find a lot of these senior players, they don't have firm grounding in an understanding of systems of play, even formations. Sometimes you go with a training session and the numbering system is a problem. So you have to go back to basics. Tell me if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna look basically at three basic formations. We look at the 1-4-2-3-1. We look at the 1-4-3-3, the 1-3-4-3, and I also touch on the 1-3-5-2. And we look at the variations in attack and defense with regards to systems of play. So with the 1-4-2-3-1, I hope I can discuss types of players. I know primarily in the Caribbean, we've been told that we have a lot of athletic players generally. So most every player in every position more than likely would be an athletic type player. I know in other parts of the world, those are really a dime a dozen in terms of the athleticism, running ability, jumping ability, getting into positions quickly. But in the Caribbean, we can more or less say in our 11-man squad, we will have 8 out of the 11 being very athletic and have to coach a lot of technical ability. But with our 4 and our 5, you primarily want taller players that can cover a lot of ground, but players that can also read the game. In our 3, and I know we can have some variations with the numbering system with the, what you call the left back position, the number 3 position. Some people play, or will say the number 5. I know our esteemed coach, Anton Cornel, would have talked to us about having a 5 there. I still look up to Mr. Cornel in that regard, but I've become so familiar with the 3. I keep using the 3 here anyway. So that's what I coach. And then you'll have the 2 at the right back position. Now we get to have some fun now with one of my favorite positions on the field, the number 6 position. The number 6 position is a player that has very good vision. And this is, of course, my opinion in terms of my coaching style, my coaching philosophy. But my number 6 would not necessarily be quite such a destroyer, but he wouldn't have the elegance necessarily of, say, a number 10 player. So he'll be a mix of the 2. But because I have an attacking sort of philosophy, a number 6 in my regard would be a very good ball playing player that can switch the point of attack very quickly, a player that can move the ball, a player that can read danger, can cut plays out, etc. And I'll have a number 8 that can be seen as what the Italians call a mezzala. I call them a box-to-box. And one of the great mezzalas was one Giuseppe Meazza. I don't know if anybody knows Giuseppe Meazza. That played for Inter Milan. He played sometime with my club, my favorite club, AC Milan. That the stadium is actually named after him, Giuseppe Meazza. We know some modern day number 8s, like maybe a Naby Keita or like a Steven Gerrard type player. They'll play that number 8, not just because they wear the number, but they probably wore the number with the understanding that that's also their role. I know a lot of people will come to understand what the number 10 role will be in this particular formation, which will be the playmaker, the trickster in the team, the one that will give that killer pass in and around the final third of the field. And I intentionally put these first 6 behind the halfway line and then start with the 10, 7 and 11 in the attacking half of the field. 7 and 11 will be our wingers, or players that can take on players high up the field, 1v1, 2v1 situations. And then we have our number 9. Our number 9 player should be a player that should be able to play in and around the box and have what you call for a smell for goal. So that's the 1-2, that's the 1-4-2-3-1 formation. Another formation we look directly at today would be the
This whole asylum is essentially a maze. There are
4-3-3, the 1-4-3-3. Similar to the previous formation, but you can recognize slight differences where we will have the 2 and the 3 starting positions slightly more infield. And this would be directly related to our 6 and passing angles to our 6, as opposed to what we had before, where we had an 8 and a 6 operating in this central zone, being able to pass that ball.
You cannot go in there now. Patient in your room.
We still have our 10, we have our 11 and 7 operating slightly higher up the pitch than in the 4-2-3-1. More or less, you can say that they're operating in the forward line.
Hey, Wayne, your screen doesn't show the diagram.
Say again?
Your screen isn't showing the diagram that you're describing.
Oh, thank you for calling and saying that. You could have said that there. That's the first thing I asked Theon. I want to move this. Is that any better?
No.
No?
It is showing your computer screen with the formations, but when you click on it, it isn't pulling up. So maybe you have to double tap it or something.
What are you seeing right now? You seeing the formation? 4-2-3, 4-3-3?
We see like 10 formations you have there.
You see 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah.
Your screen is showing.
Yes. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get in a while now. For some reason, the audio wasn't. I was trying to get to tell you the same thing.
Okay.
All right.
My boy Fabian, fellow coach, was trying to call me. Let me see if I can come out and come again.
You're good there now. You're good there now.
Is it?
We could see it now. Yeah, we could actually see it now. We're seeing the 2, the 5, the 4, the 3, the 6, the 8, the 10, the 11, the 9, and the 7.
So we can see the 8 here and the 10 here playing
yeah,
almost in the same line then.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can see the previous formation.
Cool. Good
Right,
to go.
okay. So we see the difference in terms of the width of the wing, the 2 and the 3, because of passing angles, availability of passing angles. And obviously this is very important so that when we go forward into directly talking about systems and types of opposition, why these angles are important and movement, etc. So the 8 and 10 can play in the same line in the 1-4-3-3 with a 6 playing in a sole role in a deep line midfield role in support of closer 2s and 3s, and the 7 and 11, as I said, can play as high as the line with the number 9. The third formation that we can look at would be our 1-3-4-3. I know as Coach Fabian is in here now, he started to become a very, very strong exponent of this formation. He tormented my team in a practice game. I wouldn't say anything about what happened in the actual league game. He did very well in the practice game. I had to turn the boys inside out in that half-time team talk. But in terms of the numbering system, which is what we really want to look at, I've put the 4 as a central defender, and I've brought the 2 and the 3 in that back 3 with the 4. I've had the 5 and the 6 in central midfield. 7 and 11 still playing their wide positions. 8 and 10 would then push up into the forward line with the 9 higher up. And with the switch to a 3-5-2, I've pushed the 8 to drop a little bit deeper and play the 9 and the 10 as 2 strikers, 2 number 9s almost. Sometimes when I coach, I if I'm doing like a double pivot situation, I might say, well, we have 2 6s. So the players understand that they have similar roles and responsibilities, and they operate almost in a seesaw manner, dependent on the side the ball is on or the side the team is attacking, etc., etc.
So, could I ask a question?
Of course.
So you start the game, and it all depends on what happened. You switch the responsibilities up with 5 and 6. That's what he's telling us.
I'm telling you that if I'm coaching and I'm coaching a particular situation, I'm coaching attacking from the middle third to the attacking third. I've already discussed that our formation for today is the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3, and we're working on something in particular. I would then mention to them, well, the roles and responsibilities of the number 6 are, the roles and responsibilities of the 8 are, and the players based on our training sessions would gather their previous knowledge and add to it in the current session.
Okay.
So, yeah.
For a young coach,
yes.
How he goes about choosing a formation?
Very good question. There are certain formations that might be seen as basic. I personally believe, and I've been having this discussion up to today, that direction should come from within the club. For instance, I have a head coach at my club, and I've been asking questions about the club philosophy. Does it mesh with my philosophy? What type of players we have? And I've mentioned earlier in the current set, we do have a lot of athletic players, etc. So in terms of choosing a formation, you do get guidance from what the club sees as their vision for development of their players, in addition to understanding what type of players you have to move forward. I say that, but I am also saying that if you're talking about youth football, you don't coach any one formation, because my goal isn't to win an under-15 title. My goal would be to develop players. So if I'm developing a player, but he doesn't quite suit a 3-4-3 because he plays as a natural 10, there are going to be games that I'm going to play a 4-2-3-1 to accommodate that player at some point in time. As I move higher up in divisions, if I go to senior football, etc., that may change. But in my youth coaching football background, that's how I coach.
Could I ask a question? So in a given season, you can use 3-4 formations.
Well, I won't diversify into too many, but you stick close to 1 or 2 based on, again, the type of players that you have. I have not had the privilege, let's put it that way,
right,
to have played more myself.
Right.
So, for instance, in Barbados, we have on the 9 tournament plays 7-a-side. And in that 7-a-side tournament, I've played 2 at the back. It's 3 across the middle, it was, and 1 striker and a goalkeeper. 7 players. So when you get to, say, under 11, I can then add 2 more players to play 9-a-side. And I add 2, the 2 and the 3, the wing backs probably. And I keep adding players until they get to full 11v11 situations in under 13 and then under 15 football. But obviously that is, of course, based on the club's philosophy. The club played a particular way and we wanted players to develop in a particular way as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. What I hope
it is a discussion, so you can explain the situation.
I mean, I've always been a college coach.
Wow.
And
so no grassroots football.
Well, now it's grassroots now. But this is what I'm getting at, right? When you have a team, you have to recruit the players that fit into your system. But it's different in college because you have that choice. Yeah. You go out and you recruit. As you mentioned before, the roles of these numbers, is very important. Yeah. And you have to recruit players who fit these numbers. And it's easy because, it's your philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have more success that way. But if you're inheriting players, right? I understand that you have to use different, but this is what I want you to focus on for us, right? Most of us come from a national program, and we're interested in developing the pathway from the grassroots up to the senior team, right? So what system? So the discussion have to be a system from the elite programs, go straight up to the to the senior team. Because
so the discussion I mentioned earlier that I was having with one of my youth players, not really youth, he's a part of the national team squad. He just happened to be cut in the final selection, and we were talking about the roles and responsibilities of the technical director, and we just our technical director just resigned from his job, but we were questioning whether he did a good job or not and what determines or not. So I was trying to explain to him, in my estimation, he did a good job as an agent because he facilitated the move of some of our younger players onto what we call greener pastures. Not necessarily greenest possible, but greener than their current situation. But in terms of development, there's no clear pathway, as I would have mentioned, for, say, for instance, the club that I currently am employed with, where we recognize we want to be able to develop players along a particular line. We want to have an understanding of strong sixes in our formation. We like to have wingers, 7s and 11s. We want a prominent 9 in our system. We usually play with a 4 and a 5 and back line, etc., etc. But in terms of what a technical director can offer, there was no clear guidance in that regard. So to answer your question, I don't think it's just necessarily a pathway from grassroots straight to national team, because there are things in between. There are players that are trying to get out. What about those players that do not quite fit the mold? What do you do in that regard? Do they just go on the wayside? Or are we just focusing, hey, the national team has to win. The national team has to get in the top 50, etc., etc. That's more of a chicken and egg situation, if you ask me.
When a technical director comes in, it's not really just to focus on the national team, he has to focus on the overall, the club teams. And one of the best examples that I saw is when Simonis, right, came to Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Right. I mean, I think he did such a tremendous job in terms of, all of the club teams really fit his mode of playing, his style of playing.
But that was by chance, or did he have a direct impact?
I think he had a direct impact. I mean, all the warm-ups were the same, playing out to the back. I mean, it was really magical in my point of view.
But what exactly made it magical for you? Because everybody played the same way?
Because it
did bring a strong understanding of positional play, systems of play, patterns of play for that group or that era of player?
Well, the reason why we coaching is to win games.
All of us?
Yes.
Go on.
And through the whole system, whether it's the U17, the U20, and you could have seen similarities, in the system. So when you have a team, right, you have to make it so simple. Like I don't believe in changing my system of play at all.
At college level?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the national level. I think that each coach have a defensive philosophy and an attacking philosophy, and you have to create you have to make it happen during the game.
So if I recognize that you said you coach college, but what about you're bringing players through? You have a secondary school child, you have a 14-year-old boy or girl that's now coming into the game, now finding its way, developing physically as well as tactically and technically. You're just focusing on the end result of the actual match that they're playing? Is that that's the only thing that we have aims and goals with relation to football?
Well, if you don't do a good job developing them, you're not going to win any games. You can develop.
Does that mean that player would suffer because you lose 1 or 2 games, or even an entire season of games?
No.
Does that player suffer?
You talk about.
I'm asking, right?
We're not coaching one player, we're coaching a team. This is not a one, this is a team. We can't worry about one player. We're coaching the overall team. Remember, that's what we're doing. This is not tennis.
I personally believe it depends on the level. I definitely agree. For instance, if I'm coaching a senior national team, the result basically is definitely determined on results, regardless of if there's development of individual players or not, even if you're coaching the highest level within your own country.
So you're saying,
but
at the youth level,
yeah,
you cannot develop and win at the same time?
Of course, I never said that. I develop and win right now. Right now, my club team is the under-17 champion team in Barbados. And the team that won before was another team from our club, coached by Mr. Messiah. Yeah.
Messiah.
Development and winning
Messiah
can go hand in hand, but we're talking about which one you put in front of which. That's why I mentioned it may be a chicken and egg sort of situation. If you understand what I mean, chicken and egg, which one comes first?
We ain't trying to get in just to see which direction the conversation is going as it relates to the systems of play and so on. The coach asked a question about playing more than one formation within a season.
Yeah.
Like for me, you must have a set formation. If you're a deep
Base formation, something set. Yeah.
right, you will have a formation that, as he was saying, if you want to bring it from, let's say, U13 through to the national program, that is fine. But the way how football has evolved now, you must be able as a coach to move a player from, let's say, the defense and change it from a 4 at the back to a 3, adding an extra player in midfield.
Flexibility.
Or, like, it must be flexible, but I mean, you would have that base of, and most coaches would start with a 4-4-2.
I think he also asked that question. Why would you start with a 4-4-2? He didn't ask it in that way. He asked, what formation would you use to start with?
Well, 4-4-2, it covers all 3 lanes. It covers
even
all
distribution of players and all of that sort of thing. Defensively,
as you said, it creates passing angles, and I think it teaches players the responsibility of the positions. You have players in the middle, players on the right, players on the left, and players up front.
And the relationship between the lines of attack and defense, etc. too.
Right, and to me, to be honest, a formation, as we know, is just how a team lines up. But at no other time do you find players in the position of the formation that you line up. So is it just
I can beg to differ. I would usually sorry?
Okay, you had a formation on the you were displaying a formation there for us.
Yeah.
3-4-3. Had a line of 3, a line of 4, and a line of 3.
Yeah.
At no other point, if you pause
the game,
the screen, the ball is moving, will those players be lined up just how you had them there?
So what's the purpose of the formation in your opinion, if you say that then?
Starting positions.
Why would we say we start at 3-4-3?
Starting position.
Starting position.
It is just a formality. At no other point in the game will those players be lined up like that unless a goal has been scored.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. I've had a coach at Premier League level here in Barbados, an English coach, Lennox Ferdinand, and his idea was he came up against some coaches that was trying to read his formation and try to understand what his team was doing based on seeing our initial formation. And he had us line up. I was in goal, and he had us line up in 1-5-5.
But that's why I said it's just how you line up. That's all a formation.
Okay, guys. Okay. I just think
the coach's system of play is what you have to read how the other team is going to play.
Yeah.
But if you as a coach, you see how a team line up and you said, oh, they're playing 3-4-3, and the ball hasn't rolled as yet, then you're fooling yourself.
Yeah. And we'll see some of that in the presentation. You wanted to say something, Sammy?
Yeah, there's a difference between information and system here.
Of course.
So I just think that, the formation, is initially is the shape of the team, right?
Correct.
And the distribution of players on the field, right? When it comes to the system now, there's more specification of the roles. As you mentioned before, like how you started out.
Yeah.
How the team play.
There's a special role that every player has to play based upon
in each of the
position. Yeah, exactly.
I want to add though. I was gonna interrupt Coach Fabian a little bit earlier when he mentioned it's just a formality. I tend to disagree with that point because I would usually suggest to my players that it is a base formation for our start of our game. So yes, there may be changes of formation, etc., during the course of a game. But if we go back to a base formation, especially on the defensive side of the game, if you're going to say, for instance, we have to play a mid block or maybe a low block. And that's obviously a little bit more advanced than what we're talking about right now. But if we go back to that default formation, if you want to call it that, that's what we started with. That's what we go on defending. So if we start maybe a 4-2-3-1, we will have a one striker as our first line of defense. You will have 3, 2, and a 4. But again, it's a bit of semantics because it also depends on your philosophy, etc., etc. But if I could continue, because I really want to get deeper into systems of play, because that was just a precursor to what we actually wanted to discuss. So the particular system of play that I wanted to start with would be a 1-4-2-3-1.
You need to put it on the screen.
It's not up?
No, now.
I thought it was there all the time, man.
Well, it was, and then you close it up, apparently.
No problem.
So what we're seeing now is just the window.
Tell me what you're seeing.
Yes. System of play 1-4-3-2 versus 1-4.
1-4-2-3-1 versus
1-4-2-3-1 versus yep.
See the word diamond there?
That's what I'm seeing. Yes.
Good. So, thank you very much. Just keep me intact in terms of what you can see. So I can speak in specific moments. We could start basically with the defensive setup in our opponent's half. If you want to suggest a pressing situation, with our formation, we are the yellow team. We'll have a number 9 that can position himself in a situation to cut passing lanes between a 4 and the 6, or the 5 and the 6. Are we talking systems of play now, how these formations now evolve and change and morph shapes, as Coach Fabian and Coach Sammy would have alluded to a little while ago. So my technological skills aren't that high. I can just put arrows. I can't put the movement and the animations to suit what I want to suggest. So bear with me. But we will have the 9 being able to position himself in this particular scenario to try to cut passing lanes between maybe a 5 and a 6. And obviously in team tactics, you will have a discussion with your group about what direction you want to be able to send a team, if you want to be able to press high, if you want to have a mid block, etc., etc. In this particular instance, the 7 and 11 can press to cut passing lanes to a 7 or an 8. And I'm just reminding you of the formation the blue team will be playing, which will be a diamond midfield, 4-man midfield. With a 6 at the base, the 10 at the top of the diamond, and you have a 7 and 8.
Coach Ray.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
If you're playing out of the back, and that is how that team is going to set up, that is very, very dangerous because there's no width.
I want to get to that. Don't jump the gun. But we understand the deficiencies in some formations. So immediately you would recognize that you would probably not want to play with this type of formation with your personal philosophy of probably trying to play the ball out of the back with etc., etc. But there are teams that would want.
Is it the deficiency of the diamond formation, or is it how you have it set up there? Because
go on.
Responsibilities, I'm assuming that the 8, if he's playing on the outside of the diamond, that his responsibility would be to get wide when the...
This is a defensive setup, you know. This is not an offensive setup.
No, he wanted to go into the defensive team at this point in time.
No, he can't.
I'm not dealing with the team. But he's suggesting that it's very dangerous in their regard.
You can't.
I was just using it as an example. Go on, Fabian.
Man, is the blue team attacking? That's my first question.
No, I said just now the yellow team is attacking. The blue team is attacking, but we are the yellow team.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, that the blue team in this set,
make your point.
there's no width.
Right. Are you mentioning the 8?
Right, that the 8 should be the player
to come here.
That wide when the 3 has the ball. So I don't think that you're.
What about this player? Why wouldn't this player do that?
The 11?
Yeah.
Because you're playing a diamond midfield, so the 8 is the outside the diamond.
What is the strength of a diamond midfield versus a 3-man midfield, sir?
What is the strength of a diamond?
If you draw a line here, I draw a line here.
You're in attack. You're in attack, man.
Right. Just answer the question. What's the strength?
The responsibility of the 8.
All right. Answer the question. What's the strength of this blue team versus the yellow team right now?
The blue is playing of a diamond, and the yellow is playing for what is the yellow?
Diamond has 4 players in it: the 6, the 10, the 7, and the 8. Versus a 10, an 8, and a 6. Wouldn't they already have a numerical advantage somewhere on the field?
4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Therefore, the yellow have 5 in midfield, and the blue only have 4.
No problem. So if the 7 and 11 for the yellow team comes inside, say the 7 comes and holds the 8, and the 11 comes and holds the 7, what happens with this 3? What happens with this 2?
3 can push higher at the pitch because the 5 has the ball.
Yes. So where's the strength? The strength is the center of the field, and it causes a reaction by the yellow team. Not that this is the exact discussion that we're having right now, Fabian, but I'm saying there are advantages to playing a diamond midfield in this particular scenario, whereas you can draw players centrally and open up the wide areas because you have a numbers up advantage in the middle of the field with your 4 players versus a 3 initially. But
right,
getting back,
I'll let you go ahead and explain what you're explaining because
that's fine.
Wayne, hold up.
Go ahead.
You're losing me here a little bit. Right?
No, he went off topic. I'm not losing you.
Okay, on the screen.
Yes.
Is a defensive setup. You should not be talking about the blue right now.
Exactly. He went off topic a bit.
Exactly.
I indulged.
So let go back to that.
I will.
All right.
I indulged. Don't worry about it. So as I was mentioning before, if they're building out of the back and our defensive setup allows us to play in our base formation 4-2-3-1 or 9 cuts passing lanes between the 5 and the 6, or 7 will angle his pressing runs based on our defensive cues, maybe back to goal or bad touch, etc., etc. But he also wants to cut passing lanes between the 3 and the 8. And just to the point, because I allowed Coach Fabian to make his point, this blue team would have a numerical advantage centrally. So it would be suggested that this 7 cut inside passing lanes and show him towards the line. So we're talking system of play, why we play this way, why we want the 7 to do something in particular. We want the 7 to show the number 3 towards the sideline. Sometimes when you coach young players, you tell them, well, the sideline is an extra defender. Even in this specific example, it definitely is. And it will create a 2v1 situation with the sideline and the 7. Moving on, we can have our 10 press their opposition 6 player. Remember, we talked about their numerical advantage centrally with their diamond 4 versus our midfield 3.
Wait. Okay, after this 7 press over there, right?
Yeah.
What the number 10 should be doing in that scenario?
We can suggest
number 7 go to press the number 3 blue, right?
Yes.
Or push him towards the line.
Push him towards the line.
What's the function of the number 10 and the number 2 and the number 6?
The number 2 and the number 6.
Yeah, what's the function?
So we talk about the number 2s, and this is part of my basic philosophy in terms of how my defenders will defend, etc., high up the field, etc. We can allow our 2s to be able to push based again on defensive cues. If we see a bad touch, we see a bad pass, etc., etc.,
I might know.
he's allowed to be able to step out of his back four line, in line with maybe the 5, maybe with the 8 and the 6 in a wider area. So this allows for our 6 and our 8 to stay central. Again, the 6 can push maybe on the 8, the opposition 8, as the arrow suggests. The 8 can slide to cover their 10, and we will have our 10 covering their 6. And if we go back to our basics in terms of our defensive cues, pressure, cover, balance, we will know that certain players will be closer to their defensive assignments than other players. So you know if the ball goes into their 3, or 6 can be very tight to their 8, or 10 can be very tight to their 6, but or 11 doesn't necessarily have to be touch tight to their 2. In terms of our deep defensive block, we want to be within reasonable distance of the play to keep the play compact. But we must also understand that this line must be cautious of balls played in behind. And I'm a firm believer of the most dangerous ball in football is the ball that's played in this space.
But Wayne, hold up, right? In the Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
Everything play like that. And I want to know why. The most dangerous area is the space that you touch right there. Why is, unless you pressed in, why everybody's up there unless you pressed it? I mean, what time of the game? Okay.
You think this is too high, you're saying?
Of course it's too high. What made you think? Of course it's too high.
But one of the principles of defense, and this isn't just in the Caribbean, I think this is worldwide. One of the principles of defense is compactness, yes? You coach compactness.
It's the other way. Defensively, not offensively.
No, we are dealing defensively.
At the same time, remember we're dealing with the particular situation that he presented. He said he's pressing high.
Yes.
So would he press high
And
with
how
his
much deeper?
9? Would he press high with his 9, 11, 10, and 7, and then drop his 3, 4, and 2 deeper?
But I would like him to answer. What would he do in that scenario?
My team would not be in that scenario.
You wouldn't press.
Unless I press it.
But we are pressing.
And this is what
scenario. Scenario presented.
And okay, you guys are teachers. I could tell you guys are teachers. You understand? And you always create scenarios. But when you're coaching, you have to have your defensive system in place, an offensive system. You can't, I hate. Okay, you talk like I mentioned just now, right? Or what if they make a mistake? What if they don't make a mistake? Like, for example, if I'm the number 5, I give the ball to the number 2 over here.
I didn't say anything about making mistakes, sir.
Okay. Number 5 have the ball, right? He passes to number 3 on that side.
Yeah.
When the ball is away from the 5 to the 3, the number 11 is moving. Number 11 is moving in a position. Number 10 is moving. Number 7 is moving. All of these guys are moving.
Yes.
So how are you gonna? And
it's an evolution of the state of the game, which we talk about right now.
All these fancy word evolution, this is the game. And this is what, I'm saying, at that level, the speed of play, the movement of the ball, you have to be organized.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you saying it is incorrect to press in the opposition defensive third?
What you guys are telling me there, right? It's like this is not a team press, it's individual. You understand?
I'm not understanding why you mean that. Clarify that for me. I don't understand.
Okay. When number 5 passed the ball to number 3 on this side, right? Immediately number 7 have to close it down. Number 10 has to come. Number 10 has to come over, right?
Number 10 comes over.
Yeah, number 10. No.
Yellow 10.
Yeah.
Yellow 10.
As the covering defender.
Yellow 10 comes
Right?
over.
And is he the covering defender in this situation?
Yeah, covering defender. Listen to me.
Is he the covering defender? Why would he be the covering defender?
Well, hold up now. I asked a question. What suggests
that number 10 is the covering defender as opposed to, in this situation, the 6 or even the 2? Your estimation.
Listen to me now.
Because he's high up the field?
No, listen. They must have cover defenders. These two guys.
No. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm asking why 10 and not 6.
As you
Or
mentioned
why
before.
10 and not 2.
Listen to me. I ain't finished yet.
Go ahead.
The first guy who engaged the play
Yes.
is number 7.
Go on.
Right? Number 10 has to move over because there is a space there's a defensive space in the midfield. Okay.
So you say the 10 comes across to the 8?
No, you're not marking man to man. There's a zone. You come across in that zone between.
This sounds very familiar. I heard this discussion.
Number 6. Listen to me.
I heard this last week.
No, listen to me. Number 6. Okay? It's preventing that ball to come in between there. You understand?
So what does our 8 do?
8 got to move over because the ball's on the left side.
So the 6 blocks this zone.
Everybody
and
have
the
to
8
shift.
comes across to block the same zone.
Everybody have to shift over. Number 6 have to move over to the line.
So you're talking about cutting the field in half. Defensively.
Coach Man.
Yes, please.
Right. You see the discussion that you and coaches having now. I think that the organization of the attacking team
is difficult to understand.
If the organization of the attacking team was set up a little better, then we could look at the covering defenders. I could understand what coach is saying about having the players shift because the ball is being played from the 5 to the 3.
Yeah.
If the team goes to block the ball from playing line, then you have
somebody needs to come around.
7, 10, 11.
Right.
10
what I did not get, Fabian, was why he suggested the 10 as opposed to 8, because he has not yet suggested that, well, the 10 is the closest player and the next player in line to maybe be the cover player, or the direction of the play would be definitely line as opposed to coming back inside the 6.
Hold on, Win. Fabian, I'm not hearing you clear, so probably could put the mic across by your mouth a little bit.
Okay, Win, not listening. What I'm saying, if 7 goes to block 3 from playing the ball, you have a line of 7, 10, and 11. 10 has to cover 7. Then 11 have to let go 2 and come in to cover the 7 of the blue. That is what the coach was trying to
allude
to. The 6 and the 8, yes, they're covering, but they're covering behind. But you're dealing with lines, and your first line is the 9. Your second line is the 7, 10, and 11. So 7 go to press the ball. 10 has to drop off and come around to the right to cover 7. 11 come in where 10 has moved from to cover the middle of the field.
I can see that.
That is your first line.
Right. If I can.
Then you engage the 6 and the 8.
I can see that. I can also see, because as we said at the very beginning, football is a very flexible thing. And I can also see, because we have a numbers down situation, I can quite agree that the 7 can go across and he would need cover. But I can say the 6 can come here.
But no.
I can say the 8 comes here.
Right,
hold on. Let me finish my point. I can say my 7 comes here. My 6 can come to the 8 because he's directly in the line that the 8 wants to go, which is a forward direction.
I'm gonna stay there.
Hold on. We understand that. All 6 would stay here. If the 8 comes here, if the 8 moves from this central zone to a wide zone, who's covering that zone? The 10 still? So you're saying that the 10 will come here. If the 8 moves wider, it continues going wide?
Then you're forgetting the first principles of defending: pressure, cover, balance.
That is exactly what I'm considering, actually.
But you have 7, 10, and 11 in a line.
Go on.
Football play in lines when you're defending. That is one ball beats 7, 10, and 11 if there's no problem.
The 7 moves from the end of this line to the tip of this arrow.
10 has to come around to the right.
So what happens with the 6?
In terms of what?
Whose responsibility does he belong to?
If you block the ball from playing the line.
Who? Not me. I'm playing on the sideline.
If you block okay, 3 cannot play forward. So 3 will either look inside or 3 will look back behind.
If 3 gets this ball now, 3 has 3 passing lanes, 3 passing angles. The 7 tries to block 1. He blocks the line between the 3 and the 8. That's his specific run. He gets instruction from the 6. Man moving on your right side, man moving on your left side. We ain't calling numbers. But the nearest man to the 7 that is in line to get the next pass could be the 8. If that 8 line is blocked, isn't the next obvious pass maybe to either the 6 or if it's a forward pass to the same movement you're talking about to an 11? Mind you, we have 6 more slides of this, yeah?
But he can't play forward if the 7 blocks the forward pass. So he's either playing square inside.
Yes, to the 6 or the 8. Put it my table.
He has to play back.
8 because the
so
10
who's playing the 6? Whose defensive responsibility is the 6? I haven't gotten a response to that.
Drop back in.
The 9.
The 9 has to drop back in.
So then the play can just restart and go wrong then?
Yes. Yes.
That is good.
That is not a bad suggestion at all. I don't think that's a bad suggestion.
Listen,
I don't think that's a bad suggestion at all.
Guys, wait now. When you press, it's a quick, 5-7 seconds, You don't stay up. The way you guys stay, like you stay up there, you can't stay up there like that. I mean, you guys are...
I'm not suggesting that. All right, let's move on. We can move on. We'll get more of this later on. I said we have about 6 slides of exact same things with different formations and scenarios. So we have defensive setup in our own half. And I said it would be a discussion. I made sure Theon put it out as a discussion because I know there are a lot of variables involved. Coach Fabian, you alluded to the idea of not keeping the particular shape that the team started in. So we can see in this particular illustration a suggestion based on the coach's philosophy that if the diamond starts to advance the ball with their 6 and they're trying to move the ball in what they may determine to be their strength, which will be central areas, we will get a 2-man first line of defense, which will comprise of our 9 and our 10. The whole idea is probably for our yellow team to try to force them as wide as possible by keeping the center of our field as compact as possible. That would also suggest that we have our 7 and 11 dropping and sliding infield to be able to give our team compactness. They will not try to man mark the wing back, which will be the 2 in this situation. If you are the 11, your job will be to connect the line between your 8 and yourself to be able to create this 4-man second defensive line. If we are trying to keep here compact, we obviously will be cognizant, we will be understanding the idea that this 10 can be a dangerous player that can drift, not just across the lines, but between lines. Also the idea that one of the 2 central strikers, the 9 and 11, can either drop between the line or even past the line, or try to stretch the play beyond us. With that suggestion in mind, I am saying that a deep defensive block, defending compactly, sliding left and right, trying to keep that ball ahead of them. Because if the player runs in behind before that ball is played, he's offside. So obviously you will be cautious of any balls played in behind. That the actual orientation of this particular situation may or may not be too high for some. It may be that it needs to be closer to the goal, to the penalty box. if you can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
But based on movement of these players, we know that we want to be able to keep our team compact, sliding towards the ball side and connecting the lines of defense. Watching the spaces between the lines and behind our backline between our 5 and 4 and our goalkeeper. Any other suggestions on
Yeah,
that?
could I mention something?
Go ahead.
Okay. Number 6 has the ball right now, right?
Yep.
Number 8 has to be at the bottom of this of the circle.
In the area that the 10 is in.
Yes, right there. He has to be where the 10 is. He has to be above the 10. Remember, we're just zoning. No, we're not man-to-man marking. So to prevent that ball from coming to the 10 right there, right?
You're saying you're talking about the defensive 10, the yellow 10?
Yes.
So you put him in front of that 10.
He has to be there. Because if he's not there, instead of passing the ball to number 8, he passes straight to 10. And 10 give a one touch to number 11 right there.
Tell me something. I've played the game as a goalkeeper, but in my time, I know if I get a player in behind me as a deep line midfielder, I'm in a bit of trouble because I can't see his movement. So the same hold on. In the same very movement that you've been suggesting, that player is not going to be stuck in that one position. I'm trying to shadow him based on a ball that's in front of me. That's a pretty dangerous situation to be in.
Okay, look what okay, 6 has the ball, right?
Yes.
If you're not in between at the bottom of the circle right there,
yeah.
The first pass he's going to make is not to 8, it's going to make it to number 10.
No,
so you have to prevent them from moving the ball forward. Exactly right there.
So does this not prevent that? If you have a man that's almost touch tight to an attacking player,
no,
making sure that he can't turn, making sure that any ball he gets, he has to go backwards with.
You got
that suggests to the team that's attacking that even if I play him in, I have to look for the return pass immediately.
So can we also look at another scenario based on this, right? So can we now look at the ball itself? The fact that there's no pressure on the ball, then it encourages penetration. Yes, we could agree on that.
That's why I thought you guys were going, you know.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So to prevent that penetration, what we probably need is some pressure on the ball.
Yes.
The question would be, which of them would do the pressure? Would be the 9 or the 10 to prevent that same pass that you're talking about there?
I'm true,
yeah. If go ahead.
Yeah, you don't have to pressure the ball. Having the guy at the bottom of the circle, it negates that pass there. You can't pass that. So you're in good shape already. The balance is there already with the two first the first line.
So let's walk out what you're suggesting, all right? So let's say the 8 is at the top of the center circle. So now you're placing the 10, blue 10, and the 6 in a 1v1 scenario, yes?
No, I am not worried about the 10 because he can't get the ball.
Why?
Because the 8 is preventing him from getting the ball. So he has to.
But you have suggested, Sammy, that football isn't done on a piece of paper. That football is fluid. This 6 takes 2 steps to his left. Let's call it 3 dots down. And you put this 8 here. By the time he takes these 3 steps this way, with this 8 standing in this position, still know where this 10 is? Far less. Would he even not be distracted by a run made by this 7th century or this 8th century?
Listen to me. We are more.
I'm just asking that one question. Can you answer that question?
My thing is, right?
I know what your thing is so far, but I asked you to answer that one question.
I am playing
by 7 running centrally.
I am playing zone defense. I am playing zone, and we're marking space, not man. Sure. You can't worry about the guys around you yet because they're not in a dangerous position. None of them. So you can't win every ball on the field. You can't stop at the play, but you have to make sure that the first two number 9 and number 10. That's the first line of defense. Okay?
And that's the point I want to make to you, Sammy.
So you
I'm
can't
suggesting to you that maybe seeing both the ball and the player, because as a coach, and I'm coaching a player, I would suggest to him, whatever position he's playing, your best scenario is when you see both the ball and the man. In the scenario that you are suggesting, the number 8 stepping in to see the ball. So if he can only see, if he can only see the ball, I'm not disputing that you want to do zonal marking. I'm not disputing that some other player can slide around, but I'm saying in a defensive shape, I'm coaching a team defensively, and I want to put the best possible situation, whether it's man marking or zonal, the best possible position, in my estimation, should be that a player should be able to see the man and the ball.
Okay,
Do you disagree with that?
Yes, look, this is why I disagree with that, right?
Go ahead.
We talk about 2 different levels of football.
Of course. Okay? You're higher level than I am, sir.
No, I'm not. You're trying to be funny. That's okay. What I'm saying, right? At the next level, the speed of play, you cannot look at man and ball at the same time. Okay. Are you crazy? You cannot do that at the high level. The movement of the ball and the speed of play, they're gone already. At the high school
level. Exactly where he go. Where exactly? If this 8 stays here, if this 8 stays behind the 10, I just want specifics, sir. I'm here to learn as well, you know.
No,
if this 8 stays here and this ball is played in here.
Okay. If the ball is played from number 6 to number 2 on this side of the year.
Hold on, Patrick. Patrick, you get enough. When Sammy's finished again.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If the ball go from number 6 over here, right?
Yeah.
To number 2 on this side on the other side over here, right? Yeah. Number 11 have to engage him over here. Number 9 has to move over. And number 8 here have to prevent the pass from coming in to number 11, number 9 over there. So you have to make sure that there has to be a shape defensively. And don't worry about the blue team. They're not in any danger yet.
All right.
There's nothing happening there. You're in a perfect position. So all you have to do is slide over. And they switch the play, slide over, because they're not in any danger at all. There's nothing happening there. You're in a perfect position.
Hold on, Win.
Yeah.
There's nothing for you
Patrick,
to do.
Go ahead. Patrick, go ahead. Patrick. You gone? Patrick.
You understand what I'm trying to say, right? All I want you to do is just slide. You're in perfect position.
Could you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Patrick. Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead, Patrick.
So if does the 8 receive the ball?
The ball is with 6 right now.
We're looking at the blue.
Okay, so the ball is at 6. Right.
Yeah.
So are you gambling then that who would go if the ball is at 6 and it's going to 8, correct? It's going to 8.
Yeah.
So now, Sammy was creating the scenario that he would place the 8, the yellow 8.
No, here's what can happen. So let's say if 8 receives the ball, right? If 10 is here in a position and he's not goal side, 10 could sandwich from up top. The number yellow is 7 steps. The 6 also steps supposed to go back. But the 8 yellow must come around to the middle and cover. Your 6 and your 8 cannot leave that middle at the same time. 6 goes, 8 slides in and cover. It's okay. If 10 drops in and receives the ball there, by himself, that's good. 8 is still goal side, he still has to come through 8. But
Patrick, if I can, Theon, if I can. Patrick, Sammy was suggesting, if I can for him, that we should not even be considering what 10 can possibly do because of the speed of the game. We have to concern ourselves with what's in front of us.
The defensive shape.
That's what you're saying, right?
Defensive shape.
Yes.
The team.
So putting the 8 here stops that pass initially, whether coming from the 6 or coming from the 8 or even coming from the 2.
Yeah, but you have the ball going to the 8. You have the ball going to the 8. If the ball comes down to him, that's a different scenario. If the ball comes down here, 10 steps from Tony, I mean, the 8, the yellow 8, one of the yellow 8 partners closest to him will step 6 will cover him, and either your 9 or your 10 come from the top to sandwich. That would be the scenario if the ball comes straight down. That's how I would see it. Get it? If the ball goes to the 8, right? If 10 is out of the play, then the 7, the closest closer could step, the 6 could step. But the 8 really can't treat if the 6 goes. Otherwise, the middle's wide open.
They hear him clearly.
That's what I'm saying. Unless he cuts off this pass here. Once he receives it, 10 sandwiches from the top, 7 steps, and 6 is in him. So he wasn't able to get a pass to the 10 if this
Patrick,
is done correctly.
Patrick, try to speak up a little bit. We're not hearing you that clearly.
But
Yeah.
more to the point, Theon, we have about 6 slides of this, you know.
Okay, keep going. Keep
All
going.
right.
Keep going.
Wait.
We have about 6 slides of this plan.
Wayne,
Keep going.
Wayne, before you go, right? You see the screen that you have right there with the whole field?
Yeah.
There's 5 different zones in that area. Look where the first
Vertical zones or horizontal zones?
horizontal zones, right? Look where the first one, where the 18 is. All the way from the 18 to the next 18.
Yeah.
That's one zone that you have to, right? Go to the next side over there. That's the next zone. That's 2 zones, right? And look where the goalposts. Look where the goalposts are.
Yeah.
That's the next zone. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zones. Yes, that's it right there. So when you explaining this thing, you have to draw these 5 zones. And
I wanted to, but I did not want to take it past a certain level.
No, that's just perfect right there, Wayne.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's it right there. That's what you need to do right there.
Yeah, you gotta get one probably from here straight up.
So 1, 2, 3.
You get this half zone here. This half space.
Hold on, sorry.
Get one from this line to this line.
Again.
But I still want to move on to my other slides.
No, you can't move on. This is basic. This is very important. This is the most. You talk about man to man and they talk about touching and all. You don't need to do anything like that.
Sir, I think you're adding on things that I have not said though. I didn't say anything about man marking. I didn't say anything about zoning.
Well, no, you have to.
You would have suggested zoning in your discussion, but I have not said if you're man marking.
So what are you doing then? So what are you doing? Zone, you have to do one of them.
I said it's dependent on the team's philosophy, the coach's philosophy, what he wants to do, but we're talking basic systems of play, basic defensive setup in this regard in our own half.
Okay.
Just discussed a basic defensive setup in the opposition's half.
Okay, this is okay.
So whether we man marking, whether we zoning, we haven't even gotten to that because that's a tactical discussion.
But when you're setting up defensively, Wayne,
yeah, you have to consider it.
Not consider. We mean consider. You have to do it. You have to have a defensive, style of play.
Mm-hmm.
This is your strength, your defense. You have to have that.
So you're suggesting to us that there's only one way to do it then?
Coach man.
Fabian's hands up. Go ahead, Fabian.
Everything getting tired. They want to take it down.
Go ahead, Fabian.
As I said earlier, because the organization, because the organization is I don't want to say it's incorrect, but it's not
based on how it is. How
it looks. The yellow team is not defending.
Okay.
Because they're not following the principles of defending.
Exactly. With the 3 lines.
There is no pressure on the ball.
Good.
Therefore, number 6 can play the ball wherever he wants.
Good.
Either number 9 or number 10 shows him.
So this is where the discussion needs to be led. I did this just to show the initial shape, and then we have a discussion as to who presses and who covers and what direction we can lead the team. But when Sammy wants to discuss the second line before he wants to talk about what the first line does, it throws, in my estimation, everything else off.
Ben, don't be defensive. Just listen up 1 minute. Because the presentation is based on the picture that is in front of us, right?
Yeah.
Good. So you have the arrow that you want 6 to play the ball to 8.
Yes,
That is what you would like 6 to do, or that is the next play?
that is the next play.
Okay. Where
What
10
happens
is,
next?
okay, where 10 is, if I was coaching and 6 was able to play the ball to 8 and 10 don't intercept it,
He can get
I
some.
would sub 10. So that's what I'm saying. The organization is incorrect, and that is why we are having so many different discussions, and you can't move on.
All right.
Yeah,
So can I now ask a question?
Yeah.
Before you ask a question, another person has a comment they want to make, and then you could go on to that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bella.
Gentlemen, good evening. I've been spending some time paying attention for the past 30 to 45 minutes. Interesting discussion. But here is what I would not like us as coaches to do, as is what presently is happening in the world now. With the COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers all of them appear to think that their vaccine is the best or the better one. So I would like us not to get into that discussion. My point is, what we have on the screen there, it appears to me that there are a number of options. And it makes me personally better for us to discuss all the options that are available than for us to try to live there and pick up which one is the best, which one is right. I, as a coach, have a philosophy that when I am coaching my players, important to me is function before formation. To understand the function of every position, that may facilitate what it is that you have to do. And again, I think even when we are in defense or we are in offense, how we would want our team to react would be based on our philosophy. So whatever it is that Patrick's philosophy would be in terms of how he dictates his players would be different to mine, even if the scenario presented are the same. So for instance, when I look at that screen here, and I'm seeing that ball has to leave 6 in blue, and to get across to 8 in blue, and I am seeing an arrow leaving 6 in yellow, for 6 in yellow to get to 8. If 7 does not get across to 8 before 6, 7 is getting off my field. Because
that is completely different to what everybody else was saying as well. So goes exactly to your point.
I have that short space there for you to cover. I am going to tell 6, run right across there, and I am going to buy a ticket to go and relax at a hotel. No, that's a real joke that is going on there. So I think, what I would like us to look at is scenarios, the number of options that can come from one scenario. And let's move forward. But that is my suggestion, Jim.
But quickly before you leave Bellas and Wayne, that was my first question. Yeah. Did 8 receive the ball? Because it depends on how the play develops, right? Now, in that scenario, if 10 is late and 8 receives the ball, 10 comes from the top and sandwich, and the closest man steps to 8, 7 steps to 8, yellow steps in, and you force the ball back, either to the 3 or back to the 5. Now, if 10 could cut off the ball, then that's another situation. But a lot depends on who's pressing the ball. If 9 presses, then 9 channels the ball towards 10, and then 10 can step. So it depends on how the play develops. That determines, because you have to be constantly moving. And then the rest of everybody has to take up the position based on the number 1 defender, that he starts your pressure, cover, and balance.
So when I did this, I wanted to delve into the direction of where the first press can possibly come from.
Exactly.
And what reaction a covering defender would have. Because of our base formation, guys. Remember our base formation, we don't even recognize. It's not 4-4-2. It's 4-2-3-1.
It doesn't matter the formation.
No, I understand that, but based on our discussion now.
That was the point of the discussion.
That's why I oriented it this way.
Exactly, they're just starting points. You've got to move into position based on how the play develops.
Yeah.
So, 8 receives it, Then 10 has to come from the top, 7 and 8 slides to cover 6. And everybody tucks in and be compact.
I'll tell you something.
Right.
I'll tell you something right now, right? Based on what I've done in terms of presentations, if this, what I would determine as a very basic formation, in my estimation, something that I would have grown up with to a certain degree, when I start doing different orientations for 3-man defenses, in terms of what happens with the wing backs and what's not, the discussions will take us till 6 a.m.
Continue.
So in terms of our build-up, and I'm hoping that we take the point of our previous commenter, that it is a situation where we can have a variety of different variations in terms of what we do to build up. It's just a generalization. I hope you can see the screen clearly. Can you see the one?
Yep.
Good. So if the one happens to start the play, his job is to assist in setting the direction of the build-up. We suggest that he may start on his right side. We would suggest that the 4 and the 5 can come into the penalty box because of the new rules. Well, not new anymore, but we know where we're going with this.
Which screen are we looking at?
Build-up. Can you see build-up?
No,
Yellow.
yeah, I still have the same screen.
Yellow. We are
No,
always
this is
yellow.
different. This is different. This is different.
This is different.
But I still have the same slide. That's just how it's.
Let me see if I could go back and come forward. Everybody see
Yeah,
build-up
but
at the
no.
top?
Okay.
No?
Okay. All right.
So we can suggest that the 4 and the 5 comes into the penalty box to start the attack at angles, supporting the goalkeeper. They will push high. If they recognize the goalkeeper is going long, they will have some signal of the sort. The 2 and the 3 can have high starting positions. High starting positions can mean, we suggested that there are zones. It can be in any one of the horizontal zones, the middle horizontal zones. I can even suggest as high as the halfway line. And then movement to support the ball on the ball side. That's vertical though.
No, putting in those as well. Don't worry yourself. Putting in everything. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah.
Continue.
So you have the 2, if the ball is starting on his side, being able to drop. He can either drop to hold the line, depending on the orientation of the defending team, which is the blue team in this scenario. For instance, if the 11 decides he's pushing high up on all 5, the 2 can drop into the space around this area. If the 11 decides he's going to stay out wide, he can stay slightly higher to be able to create space for any one of our players to drop into the same set zone. So it's a matter of movement of players, shifting of positions, and not necessarily any one player doing the job, if you understand where I'm coming from. So on the opposite side of the field, the 3 can stretch the play to create width, because we will have our 7 and 11 providing width in the middle of the field on the ball side. And I've had discussions with Coach Fabian on this a couple of years ago. I don't know if he even remembers, but I clearly remember. I can say he taught me, because I would have suggested that our 11 would come all the way to the line in this particular scenario if we have our 2 coming all the way down to the line. But he would have suggested to me at some point in time, maybe the 11 can even come inside. Obviously, we can see a different orientation based on another formation that we'll have later on. But we're dealing with this particular formation, which is a starting base formation of a diamond midfield against us. So again, they're
please.
Go ahead.
I am thinking the last one that you made about 11 coming in, because based on everything that I look there, appears to be very tactical to me. Now, I am seeing what you are trying to do with 2 coming here is to create a weak side, which is expected to be your left side, your opposition's right side. I am just thinking that if your 11, which is yellow 11, comes in, then what you are going to do is bring more persons in the center instead of wanting 11 to push out.
Yes.
So if 11 is followed, then your weak side, because the weak side that you are creating become stronger for you. I hope I'm getting the terms correct. So 11 and, sorry, not 11, sorry, but 3 and 7 on your left side would have more space to utilize compared to if 11 comes in and you bring the defenders more central, that would give them more liberty to cut up space for 3 and 11.
And I can agree with that to the point that because of the orientation of the team that we're playing against, their basic strength will be in the center of the field because of their 4-man midfield versus our 3-man midfield. So I can agree with that and suggest that maybe we can have players playing, trying to receive balls in wider areas.
Okay,
but having ourselves open like that.
Hold on, Sammy.
But having ourselves open like that, wouldn't that lead to other issues? For instance, transition plays, etc., from attack to defense.
Okay.
I do not think any of us. I do not think any of us think that every move that we take on the field there's not an associated risk.
Yeah.
And then Sammy to come in.
Yeah, Trini. Good night. Good night, guys. No, just listening to you, right? And there's some things that I noticed. You say we're trying to build up. I'm just saying there. When we set up like this, when we talk about build up, when we coach build up, are we supposed to go farther this with just an attacking mindset? Because a lot of times when I look at build up, I always look at balance. Like the ball could break down. So how do we, even though we're building up, how do we set up properly to manage both sides of the game? Transition and all of that.
What do you suggest based on the orientation of the defending team?
Based on the orientation of the defending team? Well, you suggest that the 3 could go higher up, and I don't see the need for the 3 to go higher up.
Okay.
I think the 11 or the 7 could stretch the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, if the 3 go higher up, it means the 11 are tucking. And yeah, we could create a situation where we get 1v1 on the other side. But, you know, I guess the dynamics.
Very good point.
Can I add a little something?
Hold on, Patrick. It's Sammy and then you.
Stopping you guys.
Sammy's ready. Sammy
Guys,
and then you.
Sammy, go ahead, yeah.
When you coach, right, you have to coach from the principles of play. And one of those principles is playing out at the back, right? You can't, your soccer players are supposed to play from the back. You can't be afraid. You understand? Where number 4 and 5 is right now, right? If number 5 has the ball, based upon what my screen is showing right there, he can't pass. He has nobody to pass the ball to. Like when Arsenal, right, and Man City play, those 2 centre backs are on the 18, either side of the 18, and the keeper is there with the ball, right? And one of these guys, number 8 and number 6, has to come in between these two, number 11 right there, so that they can get the ball out defensively. So one of these guys, even the keeper could give it to number 8, right? And look where number 4 is, all the way over there. You understand? So we have to really spread them out. You understand?
So you're suggesting that instead of these positions, when
the first line over here, the line over here, the first line over here, yes, that line right there. That's where it's supposed to be.
And then we'll just say this for this point now, the 6 can be the one to drop in.
Yes, we need one of them there.
Definitely.
Right.
And the 2?
The 2.
He comes inside or he comes all the way to the line?
Yeah, he stay wide to the line, right? But what I'm saying right now, right, when he give the ball to the defensive midfield over here, which is probably 6. The 8 or 6, or probably the 8, right? He can touch the ball to number 2 over that side or number 3 on that side.
Which direction is he facing when he receives the ball?
All he has to do is just shift his body.
With a man on his back that tight?
No, I said today, all to do, just shift your body and just pass it to that side.
Right, so it depends on the type of play you have playing there. Yes?
Okay.
You'd agree with that?
Go ahead, Patrick.
No, I missed some things, but I was going to address the whole idea of the weak side. The gentleman talked about balance, how you protect the weak side. Did he answer that question?
That's true.
Talked about the 3 dropping in and the 7 going up.
Well,
As
that's the
opposed to
thing.
the 3 pushing on.
I think as it builds up on the right side, the 3 cannot go so high. So he's the weak side, and he has to really try to call, because if the 2 has to play back, 5 will present cover, you may have to switch to play. If 6 comes in and 6 gets the ball and he could turn, right? And he can play to 8 and then think, but he can play to 3 wide. 3 gives you width, but not width in depth. Width in depth, not too high.
So
7 can
anyway,
take
in
care
this
of that.
area then?
Exactly, yeah. That he can drop a little bit. He can't commit too soon. Because if that, like you said, if he plays back and he can't go through, and 5 has to go to cover, 4 has to come in, you know, obviously either 8 can drop in, but 3 cannot go so high.
Patrick,
Yes.
8 can take 3 possession.
That's another scenario.
I mean, Patrick,
what happens in our central zones?
I'm talking about if you lose the ball.
You're not going to lose it. You're not going to lose the ball. When you lose the ball,
lose the ball, huh? Okay.
How are you going to lose it?
The thing is too, one last question, one last thing.
Yeah, Fabian, I hear you. Hold on.
Yeah, you always want to secure the middle, and if you want to prevent 8 and 6 from stretching out of the middle, because those channels should belong to 3 and 2. 3 and 2, they're the channels they operate from goal line to goal line in those channels.
Patrick, sometimes
that's why you compact in the middle at all times.
Patrick, number 7, number 3 have to exchange position. Because number 3 and number 7.
With whom, Sammy?
You're saying that the 7 drops in? That's what you're saying?
One of these 3 guys over. Okay, guys, look. Okay. What you have to be careful of, right? Look where the half line is. Look what, that half line.
You're still in your half. Yeah.
You don't need, all you need is one of these guys to come back sometimes in the possession game.
You said just the 7 drop in.
One of them.
Can I have a say?
Yeah, you're coming. Just let them finish the point and then you'll come in. Fabian, hold on. Go ahead, Tommy.
If number 3 is on the line or above over there, the exchange possession number 7. Remember, in the speed of play now, number 7 checking back to the ball, and somebody have to worry about number 3 overlapping over here.
So you're saying the 3 can overlap on the weak side?
Yes.
Yeah, but the ball is still building up here. You can't overlap until you see your way clear.
No, Patrick, you have number 8.
The weak side doesn't commit until you're absolutely sure.
Patrick, the ball is in your possession, right?
Yes.
Number 3 goes up. Number 8 goes out to where number 3 position is over there.
3 can't go so soon.
Number 8 take number 3 position. Because
but Sammy, you want to keep your as much as you can. You want to secure the middle of the park.
Patrick,
your 8 and your 6 should not have to.
Hold on, gentlemen. We're falling down the same rabbit hole again. Which is
okay. I'm gonna move on.
Hold on. Which is we're thinking that our way is the right way.
No, but
just hold on. Suggest what you would possibly do. Sammy is suggesting what he could possibly do. Bella suggests what he could possibly do, and so forth. So there are different ways to look at it. So I want to take Fabian now. I want to take
Fabian. Ways to, they also, go ahead.
Fabian, you could go ahead.
Yes, gentlemen. I was just going to say the same thing that you were saying. There are many different ways to build out of the back. You're hearing the cautious approach by Patrick.
Patrick, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Adventurous approach from Sammy.
What would you do? I'm asking you. What would you do?
We all must remember that building out of the back, we are looking at the principles of attacking. And for me, I keep looking at Coach Wayne's organization. I mean, he's not an artist, but the 5 and 6, they're too narrow, right? We have the ball with the 1, so I think that the 5 and the 6 needs to open up. Sorry, the 4 and the 5. They would need to open up. This is just my suggestion in it. We can push the 2 and the 3 on, and I believe that the 6 can be the pivot of the midfield. So the 6 can come in between the 4 and the 5, pushing on the 8 to join the 10. So we still have 2 at the back. We have the 6 providing the cover in midfield. We have the 2, the 3, the 8, and the 10 then in midfield. That makes 5. Well, that makes 4 with the 6 covering. And we are now building from the defensive third to the middle third. And that is 7 players that we are asking to move the ball from the defensive third to the middle third. And I think that is more than enough players, because that is 7 versus
7
I'm
versus
seeing
5.
7 versus 5.
7 players can't get the ball.
Well, it's not even 7, it's 8 because you're
8
losing your goalkeeper.
Yeah, but it depends on the position of the position of the ball and presenting, like you said, cover as you move the ball out.
Right, Patrick, the ball is in the middle. And I mean...
Right, so how you present with it in the middle?
Your approach is a more cautious approach. You want your 6 and 8 to sit.
Sit
Again,
in the middle, yes. Because you have 2 and 3 to take in the channel, wide channels.
No, Patrick, remember, you have the ball offensively, Patrick.
I know that, Sammy. So when you have it, you're presenting width. If they stay wide, you're presenting width. That's the
Hold on. Let him finish his point. Go ahead.
Patrick probably isn't comfortable with his players getting the ball to the half line. So he is keeping cover through the middle. And that's why there are different philosophies, but the principles don't change.
Could I ask?
Principles that you must have, and you must have.
Could I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Which is the most dangerous part of the pitch?
The most dangerous part, with the ball or without the ball?
Well, wherever the ball is, where the goals come from, which is the most, we're defending and they're pushing on us. Which is the most dangerous part of the pitch? In other words, where would you rather lose the ball then?
I could understand that, but if you look at modern day football,
that has nothing to do with modern day football. Where would you rather lose the ball? Where would you rather lose the ball?
Patrick, let him finish his point and then you could comment. Let him finish his point.
Dangerous part to lose the football right now in modern day football is wide. That is where most teams are attacking. They get beat from wide.
Yep.
Man City, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, those dangerous teams don't score down the middle. They get behind your fullbacks and they cut the ball back.
Where does the ball go in the net?
I wouldn't say no.
I understand what you're saying, that the goal bars is in the middle of the field. But when you are playing football and you have the ball, you don't think about losing it.
Oh, really?
That is not
Patrick.
When you lose the ball, you must have a mechanism to win it back.
But what exactly cover? What's the principle of cover then? What's the purpose of cover?
You have the ball, you can't think about cover.
I know you have the ball, Sammy.
Gentlemen,
Okay.
everybody.
Let's move on.
Can I have the floor?
Yes,
All right, listen. I wanted to suggest from the very beginning that this would be a discussion. I want the atmosphere to be, as was suggested earlier, that we can relay our individual points of view as to what should or could happen in any scenario, minus the actual back and forth of philosophical ideas. Because I would anticipate that everybody has their own idea on it. It was just said, this is the exact thing that I know or anticipate would happen because of the state of football. Football is so very different. We can talk about this for days.
Wayne.
What I have done, hold on. What I've done with the orientation, and Fabian is correct, it's not exact. It's to show where you can pull and push individual numbered players to suit your own style when you decide to jump in and make a suggestion as to what can happen. And in this particular instance, it's the build-up. We have had some very good input with relation to a conservative style. We have also had some very good input with relation to a more aggressive style of build-up. That is exactly what we needed. What we did not necessarily need was the back and forth. What I wanted to drive home about was the literal orientation of formations against formations to create systems of play. Because I need to move on to the other slides. Remember, this is slide 1 of 6. I've also created scenarios for the same 4-2-3-1 versus a 4-3-3 and versus a 3-4-3. So to go back and forth, we will not be able to finish. So if you can, we can go through what you think might work best, which is exactly what I would hope to hear from every participant that has an opinion, but not have the back and forth as to why this would work as opposed to somebody else's.
Okay, that being said, Wayne, that being said, right, I have this to say, right?
Yeah.
When I coach, right, and I'm sure it was in the big class that you guys just did whenever you did that class, right? There are like 9 attacking principles. And when you're in the attack,
but build up isn't one.
No, wait, hold up. Let me just finish.
Don't say principles, because you can go back to the basics, basically.
Okay, well, no, this is what I'm saying now. From the back, you know, one of those principles is switch play.
Go on.
Am I correct? One of the another principle is possession. You understand? So when you coach, you have to use all of these principles. It doesn't matter what defense you're playing against, because your team master these 9 principles. You have to be able to carry it out offensively.
Point taken, sir. Well done.
And that's it.
Wayne,
Yes,
There's no
please.
scenarios.
I didn't hear what this was.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I listen to the conversation we're talking about formation. You said that you have other scenarios for different use of different formation.
I do.
But every time I analyze and watch football today, I am beginning to think that the formation is now becoming immaterial.
Thank you.
We had that discussion a little bit earlier.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it's about probably positional awareness and where you're supposed to be and how you can support moving the ball forward.
Okay.
You understand? So, I mean, I don't know what you think about it, and I don't know, I didn't hear the discussion earlier.
I think my personal view on it, in terms of formation, it goes back to roles and responsibilities of individual players. So you're right to think that it's obviously situational, but as the discussion evolved a little while ago about what would the 3 do when the ball goes to the 5, when the team is playing with a 4-man defense, that is something that is where we find a little bit of variance in understanding, not necessarily understanding, but variance in philosophy, we should say. Some may decide that the 3 needs to be able to hold the width all the way to the line for that switching of the point of attack. Some might think that the 3 needs to start an overlapping run because their 6 is the long ball playing the team. So once he picks up the ball and he has 5 yards ahead of him, his job is to look up and look over the top. Some might say that the two may stay wide and wait for the goalkeeper to play the ball over the top after the 4 and the 5 have stepped high, then drawn the 11 and 9 towards our own penalty box and create space for him to be able to receive the ball to turn and face. All of these scenarios are acceptable to some degree based on individual philosophy. So when you talk about formation, it's more about the role and responsibility of each player.
Why you always talk about individual? You don't mention team. It's a team game. You always mention individual.
Because of what we're talking about specifically. I'm not talking all over the shop. We're talking systems of play and systems of play.
One thing, like you spoke about, I think we probably on the same page, right? Because maybe the 3 is not a player, but a position.
Right.
Right? So like when I look at Man City, Cancelo comes inside.
He does.
And plays the six.
Central midfield.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
some of the sixes drop into the back line to create three.
So it's like this is where you need to be. Awareness.
But then,
Are you picking up that position? Are you in that position? How do we get out
So the only point I'm making to you all is speak what you think would work best.
Yeah.
Because nobody actually mentioned that one to put the six to play between the lines. I've heard the 4 and the 5 splitting, but I haven't heard the 6 actually dropping into the box. I've heard the 6 drop into the top of the box. So all I'm saying, yes, that's another variable.
Quick point, Wayne, quick point. All the principles.
Speak up,
Patrick, you're a little low. See if you could speak up a little bit.
Hold on. Is that better?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. All the principles and movement, all that notwithstanding, we got to think common sense as well. Here's a couple questions. Listen, why does the team put their best players at central midfield and central defense? There's a reason for it. Why your best defenders are playing the middle. There's a reason why the central players are the better players, are the stronger players. There's a reason for that. This is my point. So it's more than just a person's philosophy. There's certain simple things that you cannot get away from. Why do players put the more intelligent players at the back? Basically, if you have a team and you have all of them weak, where would you put? Would you put that best player forward, or would you put him at the back to help direct, or even center back? My point is, the middle of the park is very important. I don't want my 8 or my 6 stretching if they don't have to, when I have 3 and 2 to take care of the channels. Those channels are shared between 2 and 11, 3 and 7 when we're going forward. And we always have to take care of the ball. We have players coming from behind the ball when you're building up. You see what I'm saying? So this thing is not about my philosophy. A lot of it is common sense. You don't want to lose.
All right, good points. Let's move on. Last one in this particular.
Patrick, wait. Hold up.
Recovering.
Hold on, Sammy.
Let me just finish the point.
Hold on, gentlemen. Wayne is trying to
go
forward with the presentation. So
sorry, my fault.
And then we can actually comment.
Come back. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wayne. Sorry about that.
All right, no problem. I'm glad that you made your input.
No, but it's important. Philosophy is one thing, but common sense has to come into play.
Patrick, it's not common sense. You have system of play. You have structure.
Okay, Sammy. Okay. Okay, let's move on.
Go ahead.
Okay, if I get you to move on now. Okay. Attacking in opponent half. So, in this particular scenario, or 6 or ball playing 6, he's not a destroyer, he's a ball player. We're coming up against the same diamond midfield. He starts with the ball pushing to 11. We can suggest that the number 1 assist in keeping team focused to recognize transitions. We can suggest that the 4 and the 5 would slide ball side to create depth on that side of the field. We can also suggest that it slides only as far as the edge of the arrows. And the 2 and the 3, their role can be in this particular formation because we can maybe see that the strength of all teams' orientation could be in wider areas with 2 players versus their 1 player. Maybe if the 11 comes outside, maybe not. But we can decide to attack along the wide areas. We will have our 2 trying to create a situation of overlap. If the 11 is able to collect the ball to foot and come inside, creating this channel on the outside, and the 3 on the opposite side can slide around to create a 3-man backline with the 5, the 4, and himself, the 3 here, covering what would be the 9 and maybe the 11 in this area of the field. Higher up, we can have the 8 playing in almost a box-to-box role, trying to create movement and finding space, trying to get the arrow to move, trying to find space between the line So his movement would be up and beyond their 6, but not necessarily beyond their back line, but that is also a possibility. The 6, if the 6 is playing, he's the one that's going to hold to create that situation where they can have solidity in transitions. And the 7 on the opposite side can push on to create a second striker situation, or that can be the role of the 10. The 10 can also have a free role in terms of his creative ability to show ball side if the ball is played into feet here. So we can create more 2v1s or even 3v1s situations in these wide areas. The 9 would not be necessary to drop to show for any balls in these areas. His job may be, it can be suggested to occupy the 4 and the 5 to push the team back so as to create space between the lines for the 8 or even the 10 or the 11 driving into space. Any suggestions based on that? What would you do? Would you do something similar? Would you do something different? Would you have the goalkeeper further back? Would you have the goalkeeper higher up? Would you have this line deeper?
I'll have the 5.
My concern would be if we just look at the image itself, would be numbers up in terms of where my numbers are. And at the current moment, the blue team for me have the advantage in the attacking third. So if you look just base it on numbers itself.
Yeah.
So my thing would now be how can we create either a greater numerical advantage,
numbers up for you,
or probably equal numbers. So however it happens, just remembering that we need to create width and depth within the particular.
So tell me specifically now, who would you move and where?
So 7 and 11 would be higher up.
Yeah.
High and wide for me.
7
right up, high and wide. As you mentioned, the 9 would occupy the 4 and the 5.
Yeah.
All right. And then maybe 1 and backs higher up based on the orientation of their diamond and the way it is set up. It allows for me to play a lot on the wider areas because if you recognize their weakness is just above the 3 and to the right, to the right of the 8 or to the left of their 7.
So if you just said that, why wouldn't you just have your player here as opposed to the area that you set up here?
All right. So again, looking at space and numbers.
Yeah.
If I push the 11 up, it occupies the 3.
Yes.
Which allows for my 2 to occupy that particular space that you're talking about.
Good.
All right. So then automatically you could see my numbers starting going up there.
Yes.
That would be my concern.
What would you do on the opposite side? Would you allow the 3 to push on as well?
I'm coming around just as you have it there. I'm going around. Okay. I'm going around. So it would be 3 in the back. And then the 8 can actually push, but the 6 becomes the pivot. Yes.
So you say the 6 will drop between the 4 and the 5, you say?
No, like the 10. You see where the 10 is?
Yeah.
The 6 would be there, and then the 8 and the 10 would be in the half space.
Pushing up.
My 8, which is yellow 8, right? You would
in
go
front
there.
Or behind?
Behind the 7. So the 10 and the 8 would be in the half spaces. The 6 would then come into the middle.
Yeah.
Yes.
In front or behind the 10?
I'm in possession. I'm thinking
in front.
In front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. My little question I have, right? This back line is very deep, right? Mm-hmm. If I push on the 11, what am I really getting in behind it? Mm-hmm. So for me, I look at the pedal tighter and use a bit more possession base in here and try to get in behind 2 passes. So I asked the 9 to drop in some of the half
So speak
spaces.
specifically of what player goes where then?
Yeah,
you know that theon said he wanted his 11 closer to the 3. Where would you put the 11?
I'm leaving
11 closer to the ball?
No. I am leaving the 9. I'm bringing the 9 between the 3 and the 6.
Between here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? I want my 8 to push out where the 10 is and the 10 to go in behind.
Pass the 9.
In the half space, yeah. So I creating an overload because I'm looking to play short passes and hopefully through that short pass I could ask my number 2 to overlap and get in behind.
So your overload would be the 9, the 11, and the 6?
Yeah.
Or the 6 will be the deeper?
The 6 will come back on the balance like Tian said.
Right.
The 10 go kick on, the 9 go check for the ball.
Right. So the overload is the 9 and 11 versus the 3?
Yes. And
but in front of them, they're not trying to get in behind them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my aim is to get
what is the role of the 8?
The 8?
Yeah.
The 8 is the decoy.
What do you mean decoy? I don't understand that.
Well,
he's making a run.
He said the 8 picks up the 10's position.
10 position,
yeah. And the 10
goes up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this half space here is open.
One more thing.
This entire half space is open, or the 7 comes in, or the 7 stays wide?
No, you want the 7 stays as wide as possible.
So this half space is completely open then? Because you have this 8 put in here, you have the 10 pushing on, you have the 9 coming.
9 in there, yeah.
And the 6
so
dropping.
So
there's no player here.
You overload in one side, you overload in one side.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just being clear.
Yeah. Another thing too, this is just me, this is my bias now. I like to see my 5 drop off because I might need to switch the point of attack. So I like to see my 5 drop off.
How deep?
To create the switch in the point of attack. That way we can have the isolation for the 7 on the other side. That's how the bar is switching.
What's the role of the 3 and the 4 in that situation?
Excuse me?
What's the role of the 3 and the 4 in that switch?
So the plan is if it gets too tight over it, you go back to 2, come back to the 5. The 5 is a bit more, no. The 5 will drop off a little more, what do you call that? A bit straighter. No, to the side. Then the 4 comes on, and then we could get the switch on the other side of the isolation.
So you're not playing that long ball that you suggested from here to here?
To the 3.
Okay.
And we use the 7.
Okay.
And we got the 8.
So it exploits the same thing again, which is the weakness of this particular shape, which is the diamond being in the middle. You could always switch
the point of attack quickly.
That particular point there.
Point well taken.
Just a quick point, guys. That's a quick point. That's why when you go forward, you should always have depth. Because if he comes back to the 5 offers depth, 5 could swing it all the way over to 7. Okay? So you always have depth when you go forward. That's your defensive shape as you go forward. And
he did suggest that his 10 pushes on, though. He did suggest depth in terms of his 10 making the runs in behind.
The point someone is making all is when they're going forward, they don't have to have depth. You have to always have depth because that's an option, right?
Point well made and well taken.
You want to create an overload. If the 9 drops in between by the 3, the option is 9 could play wall pass with 11 around 3. 9 could fake the wall pass to 3, come inside to 10, right? Once those 3 passes are made, everybody gets sucked in. 7 is wide open, 10 switches it over. And you go from there.
Guys, I just want to make sure that we understand all of these scenarios that everybody's speaking about. When you go to practice, you have to explain all of this on the field with your players. And there's a lot of repetition.
No, Sammy, listen, Sammy.
No.
I can agree with that.
Let me tell you, let me say, this is shadow play. Everything I just said, you walk it through without the ball, with the ball, with no opponents. And you showed all the scenarios. And depending on how the game develops, you
wait. You mean you reach the game yet? You have to do it in practice.
Sammy, I said in practice. You shadow play this.
Then after the shadow play, then what, Patrick?
Shadow, what do you mean after the shadow play? Shadow play shows you the movement of the ball, of the players based on where the ball is. That's what shadow play
All right.
is. You walk
Okay,
it through,
okay.
then you
Sammy?
adjust the ball, and then you go from there.
I am saying,
Well
right?
done, Patrick. Sammy, Sammy, if I can,
Move on. Go ahead.
if I can, this is Wayne speaking. Explain to us what you would suggest in this particular attacking scenario with a four-man defense playing against you.
I would have in my
And Fabian, you can come next.
in my offensive, I have like 9 or something offensive plays that I use.
But we're speaking specifically to this
No,
situation.
no, you can't. I don't do those kind. You know, I'm talking about my team.
Okay.
We have nine situations that we go over in practice,
Okay.
and this is why you have a long preseason practice. You know, and usually, you know, you need at least 6 to 8 games before the season starts to make sure that you get these things done back.
So you do that against whatever opposition, regardless of formation you come up against, regardless of the physical demands of the game, everything?
Yes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Sam, you have to consider
nine
Sam,
different.
you have to consider how the player is going to develop.
Patrick, we're not questioning what he does.
I
We're
know
just
that.
listening.
I know. I understand.
This
Just
is
listen to his suggestion.
This is why we practice.
Right.
So those 9 things, you know, offensively, you have to go repeat it, these things, you know, and like for example, when you're teaching, okay, these things that you've given to us right here, right?
Yeah.
What I want from you, what I like to see from you is you have it in a video that you have done it and it has worked. You understand? So what you're teaching, what I see in here, you know, is what you get this from a class. You understand? But I want to see you do this in person and you get results from this. And this is the next step that the young coaches especially would need from you. Am I making sense? Does it make sense?
Yes. And I can say to you that I have used this and I've won with this.
And this is why...
But I can't speak to the opposition. I can't speak to the quality of competition and all of that in the same breath. I can just say that whatever was put in front of me...
Right. I mean... I would like to, all this information that you give to me, right? I want to take it and try it out. You understand? Okay. But I don't want to go try.
But that's not the purpose. That's not necessarily the purpose of it. You know, we're trying to find commonalities and maybe differences and see where we going in terms of, in my estimation, as a region, in terms of how our football is being developed. Because if we're talking systems of play and everybody's all over the place, and there's no commonality at any point in time, then I think we going downhill.
No.
If we can find a way similar to, you can talk about what South American style of play is, what their systems of play are. You can talk about Europeans, even though the English may play different from the Germans, may play different from the Italians, but we know a particular system of play coming from Europe. Same thing in Asia, same thing in Africa, based on their type of player. I was hoping that this particular discussion can lead us as a region towards that, so that we can have a
I'm talking about...
We can have a variety of different options available to us. That's all. Go ahead.
These things you're going to teach in your academy, because this is your presentation, attacking in your opponent half. So when you teach your U12 and your U13, U14, right?
I must say before you go on and try to hammer me with this, this is attacking basically from the middle third to the attacking third. I've left out attacking in the final third. I think that's something a bit more personal. I didn't want anybody to go into any details about it because you might be playing against somebody and you wouldn't want trade secrets given out. So I specifically done it in the half so that you don't think specifically about how you want to attack in the attacking third.
Man, when people come to scout, you didn't see it anyway. I mean, you can't hide it. I mean,
It's true. But I want to get Fabian's thoughts on what he may or may not do with this particular scenario, if he's still there.
Yeah, I'm still here, being bored to death by you guys.
Of course you are.
Just kidding. Interesting points. I like the idea. I wasn't able to see who's the coach that said it, but I like the idea of shifting the 9 to the closer to the 11 to link up, which
Yeah.
allows the 10 to become the 9.
The 9.
However, in terms of keeping wide, I would bring the 7 in and it's more of to create a distraction for the 2, because the 2 have to go in to cover the 5. So with the 7 going in, the 2 now have, although he's paying attention to the 10, he also has to pay attention to the 7, and the 3 is not needed there. I know Patrick will say he needs balance, but the ball side and to create the overload on the opposite side, which is the left side, I would push the 3 with 7.
So question based on that particular point, Fabian. You said you would push the 7 into the what they would call the half space here. Why?
Yes,
just to occupy the 2? Wouldn't trying to push the 7 beyond the 2 do a similar job?
No, I'm pushing the 7 in between the 2 and the 5.
Yeah.
In that space. The 10 is gonna occupy the space between the 4 and the 5. Remember that the 3 has to come.
Remember the 9 is going over to the 11.
Yes, I know this.
Over the 3 has to cover the 11. The 4 has to cover the 9. The 5 has to come around to cover the 4.
And then so the 10 is there.
The 10 come around.
That whole defense
what would happen if the 4 doesn't come out of that slot and the 6 comes around to cover the 9 instead?
It's a 2v1 with the 11 and the 9 to get in behind.
It's not
because
2v1. Listen to the question. Yes. You said the 4 would follow the 9 into the space. The 10 goes on to occupy the 5 and the 7. No?
You don't follow in defending unless you're man marking. Right. What I'm saying is the 3 has to cover the 11.
Yes.
Play pressure on the ball.
Yes.
If you are following the principles of defending, then I think the 4 would have to cover the 3.
Correct. I agree with that.
It has to come around to cover the 4. And then the 2 has to come around to cover the 5. It's going to leave a space on the outside of the midfield unless the 7 from the blue tracks.
Yeah.
To cover that space.
Correct.
Good. Therefore, I'm pushing the 3 where the 7 is. All the way up there. Because I don't need him at left back right now. Here. No, I don't need him down there.
Go on.
With the expectation that if the ball plays back to the, let's say we don't work the 1-2 between the 11 and the 9.
Yeah.
But we put the ball back to the 7. Right. Then we can play that ball into the 7, or we can play the diagonal ball out wide to the 3.
From the 6 or from the 5?
From the 6. When you recycle, if you can't go forward,
right.
You can't go forward.
I just want to know how far back. Because remember we had an earlier suggestion that the recycling might take back place even deeper.
No, right. I'm keeping it in the middle third.
Yes.
8 is going to come where the 10 is.
Yes.
Good. So the ball can go from the 6 to the 8. Remember, the 7 is going to come into that space.
Maybe here.
Can now play the ball either to the 7 if there's room, or the 8 should be that ball over. Yes, over the 2 into the corner flag for the overlapping run 3. Of the 3. Yes. Okay. So that is thing. I like the idea of the 5 and the 4 giving a little bit more depth.
But you don't need any more than those 2.
Yeah, we'll drop them off a little because we're in possession, so we need that.
Yeah.
I did agree with that point from Patrick. We don't need them so tight on the 6.
Good points. What about the 2? You still have the 2 overlapping?
No, there's no overlap on that side because the 11 is already wide. So the overlap will come on the weak side.
Okay.
Yes. So then the 2 can even come.
You can have backward support.
Feel a little bit to create a better passing angle.
Okay. Fair point. All right, guys. We can move on to a different formation. What do I bring here? And just tell me if you actually see it. We went a lot longer on that last one than I think we should have done. All right, can you see the screen?
Not yet, not yet. We're up now, we're up now.
Full screen?
Yep.
The 4-3-3 versus the 4-2-3-1. Now I wanted to be specific about the orientation of what our team would be doing versus a specific opposition to see the variances in movement of play. So we can go back through from our defensive setup in the attacking half. Remember, we've changed the formation slightly. We've changed the orientation of both teams, but with a similar scenario in terms of the opposition trying to build up out of the back. In this particular scenario, I would have suggested maybe the 9, based on our philosophy. He has 2 holding midfielders or a double 6 if you want to call it, but a 6 and an 8 that are deeper in this scenario because he's playing against a 4-2-3-1. The 6 will still try, the 9, sorry, will still try to cut passes between the 5 and the 6 or between the 4 and the 8. It is a possibility for the 4 to play to the 6 and the 5 to play to the 8, but obviously that's a pretty dangerous play anyway. So your movement should be able to cut passes into their defensive midfielders. Or 7 and 11 would press the opposition's 2 and 3 on the ball side and try to cut passing lanes centrally, meaning that they will show this midfielder, this number 3, wide. Now, something that I have pointed out to some of my players, and I was able to show them a case in point in a final that we played. We played against a 4-2-3-1, and the scenario was that the number 3 was deemed a weak link because he was a right-footed player playing in this position. So every time he received this pass, his first touch was with his right foot facing his goal, or facing his own corner flag, basically, as opposed to being able to open up his body to be able to play wide. This is just one scenario that happened. So we were able to, I call it baiting, but you basically allow the pass to go into the 3 and then apply pressure based on the principles of defense. You know that a bad touch is coming, a negative touch is coming, and we can press the team to force them backwards. That was just one scenario I was able to point out to my specific group about one particular player during a halftime team. Okay? In this particular scenario, the 3 may want to open up his body with his left foot. He may want to go wide. He may also have the option to come into the 6. We're going to ask the 7 to be able to cut the passing lane to their 6. Because if you give the ball to the 11, we will have our 2 applying pressure here. The 8 and the 10 would slide to cover, or 11, whichever ball side. And on the opposite side, they will slide in according to if they're on or not. The job of the 3 at the back, the 4 at the back, obviously, if we have the 2 putting pressure on the 11, the 4 can slide around to cover, the 5 can slide around to cover the 4, and the balance comes from the 3. You will almost have that 3-man back line if the 2 has to step to press. You will have your goalkeeper outside of the goal area, the penalty box, sorry, and not necessarily inside his penalty area. Any suggestions? Similar, different, otherwise? Let's talk about what the 6 and the 8s can do for us. Will we push those 8s high up on their 8? Everybody gone?
Okay, wait.
I'm afraid to answer. I'm afraid to say
No,
anything.
don't be afraid. I want everybody to give their input and then we move on.
Listen,
Just give the input and let's move on.
So we are the yellow team. We are the yellow team, correct?
Yes, please.
Right. So the 9 encourages the pass to the 3.
Speak up a bit, Patrick.
I think I'm having some problems with my. Hold on a second.
Mike, just speak directly into it.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. So the 7, you encourage the pass to the 3. He's your weak link. The 7 goes, but I want my 10 to step as well to create that triangle. 9 goes, the 10 slides in. Okay, up.
10 slides in and not.
Yeah. The 7 goes and pushes to the line. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right? And the 10 goes in, just in case it comes.
Is the 7 cutting the pass line or is he cutting the pass inside?
Well, it depends on when he gets there. If he's late, then he pushes him to the side. If he's not late, he forces him to go back to the 5. You see what I'm saying? The ball is, you got to move when the ball is moving. So, because our 9 goes, right? If 7 can anticipate that once the ball is moving, if 7 can go, okay, if he gets there late, just try to push him back inside. If he gets there early, push him back. If he gets there late, 3 already has the ball facing the line, then you push him against the line. Your 2 can step, your 10 can step. But I'd like it if once the ball is played, the 7 goes to try to push him back towards the 5, and the 10 steps in. So you trap him in there. If we win it, it goes to the 10, and bang, 11 can go, switch a point of attack. Because once that ball is played to the 3, the defense is going to slide all the way towards the ball.
Okay.
And 11 can have some space to move. But
would you allow your 6 to go and cover the 10, or would you want him to stay?
My 10 and my 8 are going, and my 6 are staying.
Okay.
Because that's how I play my middle. Anytime I play my middle, they control the middle, and the 7 and 11 take care of the channels. They share the channels with the 7 share that channel with the 2, 11 share the channel with the 3. Very seldom do I want to see my 10 or my 8 stretched to the line. It's going to happen sometimes, but the less it happens, the better. Let's control the middle. And then when we're in defense, I'm going to flip that triangle in the midfield. I'm going to go 6.
Patrick, right. I get the idea that you never was involved in a game that had 5 or more goals in it, sir.
Never had 5 or more goals in it, huh? I always play from.
Hold on. I want to hear iPad 2. I think they had the hand up a while.
Okay.
iPad 2. Unmute yourself.
Remember to unmute yourself. iPad.
Yo, iPad 2 is me, Alexander.
Oh, Alexander's here. Okay.
I've been here. You and Sammy and Wayne going back and forth. Okay? Okay. Here is my thing in this. The 9, the 7, the 8, and the 10. But there's a gap. There's a gap between the 8, the 6, and the 10 blue.
Yeah. What would you do?
I will fill in all the gaps if I'm playing offense.
So you push the 10 up on the 6 and the 8 up on the other 8?
Yeah.
Okay. So you leave this player isolated here against this player?
No. I will put either the 4 and the 5 and play them like one against each other.
So then you leave one of these 2 isolated against this player then?
Yeah.
But there was a suggestion earlier that the most dangerous
Over. Look where my number one is.
Ah. So you make sure he plays high.
Yeah, look where my number one is.
Okay.
So I like to fill in all the gaps.
Okay.
Fill in all the gaps and don't give them no time on the ball.
Fair point.
Okay? All right, cool.
Thanks for that. Sammy, anything?
I think KS had a comment.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Wayne. And let me introduce myself because you seem like Coach Fabian Messiah don't know Kansas start, but that's fine.
Hey!
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I look at here is what are the that you're giving. So this Gato. We're going on. Good. I did, man. I did.
I already know pick up with this true.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah.
So what are the things I study here? What are the instructions? Because that would determine what position and so on the different players take up. So for example, I ain't asking my 9 to kick on. I been deep. The instructions have to drop off a little. I ain't asking my 9 to kick on. I ain't asking my 7 to press. You understand? If I'm looking to play, what is that? Counter pressing.
Yeah.
Then our starting point's already wrong.
Go on. Fix it.
You understand? No, if I'm counter pressing, then my 6 had to be kicking on. My 9 had to be trying to lock off. Somebody got to lock off so the ball could at least go to an area where you could trap it. And then pick up. But we need to be in the position to pick up the man, the closest opposition player.
So talk us through it. Where exactly you want to go where?
No, what I'm saying is, what are the instructions? And based on the instructions that I'm giving to my team, that will determine how I'm setting up. I do agree with who's that guy's name again? That there's a big space in the middle there that needs to be filled. I kind of don't like to see those spaces.
Yeah. So you wouldn't push your 10 here and your 8 here?
Not necessarily. Not
So
necessarily.
if the 6 picks up the ball, what happens next?
If the 6 picks up the ball, then I am looking for, first of all, my starting position for the 10 is a bit too far. He needs to be at the top, yeah.
Yeah. But not necessarily up on.
Not necessarily there.
Right. Somewhere here.
Yeah, somewhere
not
there.
Touch tight. Not touch tight.
I would tuck the 8 a little deep, closer to. Yeah.
So the head or back towards the 6?
Towards the no, ahead, yeah.
Just behind.
No,
so you create a double pivot then. You want 2 at the back, 2 at the base.
No. Leave the 6 there. I'm pushing this is the 8 on the left side.
This is the 8 here.
Yeah, I'm tucking the 8 in the space between their 10 and their 6.
Yeah?
Too far across. Yeah.
But you just say playing the 10 there. The 10 here already.
10 there already, but the 8 is gonna come up between the 10 and the 6. Yeah, there. Right
and
there.
The 8. Between 10 and 8.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So you have 2 players right here.
2 players right there, right. Right?
Then
now I'm covering. So I'm asking now, once I am in that position, I'm asking my 7 now to go and press the ball.
And force the player wide or force the player centrally?
Force the play back.
Okay.
And have a roll. 7 could lock him off. Then my 6 push up, 8 push up, and then I want the 11.
So two questions. What about your 2? And what about your 11? Start with the 2. What would you do?
I'm asking my 11. Once the ball goes back, I'm asking my 11 to give me some pressure up. I'm asking my 8 to step up and the 6, and the, was that 6 or 8?
8 here.
I'm asking my 8 to put some pressure, right? And then, so then, that is a press right there. I'm trying to force a turnover higher up the park.
Fair enough. Remind me what you're doing with your 6?
Well, once any pressure now, I'm going to ask my 6 to come around in this space. Once the ball goes back,
yeah,
my 6 is gonna leave the 10.
And come ahead of him.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask one of my central defenders to pick up that 10.
Play one behind. 1v1.
Yeah.
So 1 against the 10 and 1 against the 9.
Yeah, 1v1.
How wide would you have your 3? So don't worry about the 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry about him. Or yeah, I mean, mark him.
The 3 had to be, what we're saying, so we say half and half.
Okay.
Yeah, so the 3 had to be a bit mindful of the way overcome it to Ollie. Just hold the position until we see what's going on.
Okay. Fair point, Brethren. Anybody else, Theon?
I'm good.
Good coaching started. Good coaching.
All right, let's move on.
Patrick, you're a student because both of you are very conservative. How are you going to win the ball if you don't?
Let me tell you something. Don't we move on. That's we'll talk about that after. Let's move on.
Just a commentary, right? Just commentary. I don't mind. I always think about the whole when I'm coaching. I'm not saying I don't want my team go forward, but there's a real possibility that it could break down.
Exactly.
And I know that my team has some sort of balance.
You know, it's a bit of a syndrome sometimes when you coach a team that's usually close to the bottom of the table, and you have to be as conservative as possible, right? I ain't saying who will, but if you're accustomed to being at the bottom of the table and you got to hold on to a draw sometimes, you have to do what you have to do.
You know, the thing is though, one, you can't win championships to defend and to go forward. And I'd rather have my men come from behind than to be up top and chasing back.
And chasing.
Okay, so let's start there. I always coach my defense first. Any team might take over. Once you have the team defense, half the job is done.
Yeah, Fabian.
Ben.
Yes, Fabian.
These guys sound like they're coaching Fulham.
Full out attack, boss. You talking about West Brom?
These coaching Man City.
West Brom, boy.
Yeah, these guys are looking to win the ball in the
attack. How does Man City break? Did you see Man City play today? Was it no? That was Chelsea playing today. How did they break? How did Chelsea break? When did Chelsea break from in their last game? Who picked up the ball from where?
Chelsea has
Did you see Chelsea? No,
all right, guys, let's not get distracted.
No, no. We gotta clear up this point. He said the top teams just go forward. They go forward from a defensive posture.
Yes.
Look at today's game.
The cover shadows and everything.
That's right, man.
All right, so defensive setup in our own half. You remember earlier we had our own team, almost a 4-4-2 setup, and now because of our formation system of playing would allow us to have 4-3-3 in our defensive shape in our half. Similar scenario with the 6 on the ball. Seeing if the first line of pressure is the 9, he could probably slide across to put pressure on the 6 to force balls backwards, but the pass that the 6 wants to make will be to his 11. Or 7 and 11 will drop and slide infield, high positions to create compactness, but also be able to apply pressure if the ball is on their side of the field. Before I move forward, I've had some scenarios. Obviously, as a goalkeeper, I'm the one usually the one to deal with the organization of defensive strategy on the field, coaching is going on. And there was a player, I know Fabian knows this player well, one Rondell Vaughan. And he played in the 7th position. And he played the 7th position so very well in the attacking phase of the game. But he would never find himself in the right positions on the defensive end of the game. Even considering what would you do and how would you coach your 7 and 11 that would have just exerted themselves on the offensive side of the ball to then be able to drop, slide and cover, and then be able to apply pressure considering our principles of defense. The floor.
Comment on that?
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, the 4-3-3 becomes a 4-5-1 when you're defending.
So they drop in. So if you have a player that has exerted himself, pushing, going down the line to drop in.
Okay, men from behind step. That's why you have men behind. Secondly, your number 9, whoever is up top, he delays as your team gets back into shape. The number 9 harasses that ball.
That's a good football word, delay.
Exactly. And when you retreat, it's like a funnel. You retreat towards the middle.
Inside.
And then you spring out again when the ball comes in. Simple. And you could shadow all that in practices and show guys what to do. Delay, shuffle back towards the middle, contest the middle and push them to the outside, trap them against the line. And you walk it through. And it's not a hard thing to do. Once you can play team defense, Caribbean teams, they're good going forward. A lot of Caribbean teams don't know how to defend as a team. And that's the problem we have.
Would you, Patrick, think that player would be overexerting himself? Because obviously we made jokes about the situation of getting everybody behind the ball and having more players behind the ball than ahead of the ball. But would having a number 7 and 11 dropping to create a 5-man midfield overexert them to the point that when you do need them on the attacking end, they would be useless to you?
They won't be useless. First of all, the ball could only be on one side at a time. Triangle. So here's your triangle. You got your 9 up top, right? You got your 7 somewhere wide. Okay, forget the 7 for now. You got your 9, you've got your 10, and you got the 7 pushing up. You have a triangle here between the 9, the 10, and the 8. That's right there, but a little staggered. If 8 goes, 10 slides. If 10 goes, 8 slides towards the middle. So you're never flat.
But the 6 would always be deeper than both
the
10 and the 8.
Deeper. Yes, because he's the sweeper behind everybody.
Okay.
Any balls that's
the point I wanted to see.
Exactly. Any ball comes through between 10 and well, not even 10 and 2, but here 10 sweeper just slides. He's your sweeper in the middle of the park.
Would anybody else have any variance to that? Would you have the 6 in the line covering the 10 if he steps to slide? And then probably get the 8 to drop instead? Or would everybody just have a sweeper with the 6? I heard Patrick just now. I don't know if the others have.
Okay, you want to hear someone else. But I was going to say, remember, once we're not flat, guys can always slide. 10 goes to if 6 has to commit. If 4 doesn't step, or 8 should be dropping towards. Once the 6 moves and he has to commit with a triangle on that side, 8 should be sliding in. You always have to slide, and 11 slides in, and your 3 slides in.
Right. Thank you. Anybody else on that point? Theon, boy, I got the boys frightened now, boy. I feel like I'm in the classroom now. Finally, everybody listen to the teacher. Listen to the teacher.
I'm gonna get something to eat, man.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. Yeah, so we talk about build up from the back. Again, in this scenario, it's just the one player, the number 6 playing that pivot position in a starting role. How would you orientate your 2, the 3, and the 6? And how high would you push your 8 and 10? Or would you drop either one of them for numerical advantages? Because in this situation, we have, if the ball goes right side to the 5, we will have this 3v2. If the 10 decides that he has to come, maybe the 10 can show. If the 11 decides that he wants to push on, maybe the 2 doesn't come at all, and he collects this ball over the top. This is probably just a 45-yard pass, 40-yard pass from the 5 to the 2. What would we do? Would we allow the 6 to drop? Would the 3 push on? Would the 3 drop? Would the 8 drop in here? Would the 6 drop in to make 3 to allow the 4 to step higher up? Fabian?
I may even look to take my 11 and
Sensor-
7s, 11 and 7s a little higher still, because
Different-
it's a goal kick.
Different systems to play in.
Yeah.
It all depends, as we've been seeing. The 6s are now, if you're playing with 2, one of them is picking up the position of the wing back now and allowing the wing back to push on higher up the pitch, because the outside midfielders are now coming inside to add more numbers on the inside. So we are not having the 6s provide the seesaw anymore.
No.
We are having one as a deep line midfielder, and we're having the other 6, or if you want to call him an 8, picking up the position of the wing back on the weak side of the ball. So it is based on, as not Sammy, as Patrick has been saying, it is based on what you want to achieve as you go forward. You have the safety. So he's still going to have his 4 at the back, but the 4 is not the traditional 4 of the 2 wing backs and the 2 center backs, but one of the holding, picking up the position of a wing back to push on the other wing back. So it is based on how you practice, as he said, using the shadow play.
Technique. So quick question then. What scenario would you advise if the goalkeeper is on the ball? What scenario would you advise your goalkeeper? This is the circumstance that you must go long.
When will he go?
Yeah. Would it have to be just the 8 coming from this position coming out? Would it be both the 8 and the 6? Would it have to be the 3, the 2, the 6, and the 8? What scenario would you suggest would be?
For me, you go along when the players in the defensive third are matched up against each of them. So if the team go full press,
that's the only time you'll ask your goalkeeper to go long. So basically, you're 7 against their 2.
Other than that, once you have numbers up, you're gonna have a free player.
Right.
And then it also depends on how good the goalkeeper is technically.
Technical ability and so.
If the goalkeeper can play with his feet, and let's say the 9 pressures the goalkeeper, then he has to release either the 5 or the 4. So one of them will be unmarked.
Yeah.
And then you still have the 6 that is he's facing his own goal bar, but
maybe only half turn.
I wouldn't advise him to turn, but to play the ball either back to the 5.
No, I said maybe on the half turn. Maybe his body position is that his shoulder is facing his goal.
But not
right.
Understood. Yeah. So it depends on the technical ability of the goalkeeper, and then also the philosophy of the coach, because there are some coaches that wouldn't want that ball kicked long regardless of the pressure. We saw it with some of the professional teams earlier.
You mean Arsenal? Yeah. Say Arsenal, brother. You can say Arsenal.
Man City.
You can say Arsenal. Leeds,
no more than the others, but Liverpool, Man City, they all have been punished because of the philosophy of the coach, not wanting to kick the ball long, but billing it from the back regardless.
So should the philosophy of the coach change because of the technical ability of his players? And on what level of coach should be able to make that decision and choice?
Philosophy of a coach wouldn't change, but the system of play might change.
Expand.
For me, if my philosophy is building the ball from the back, I'm going to build the ball from the back. I might need more players
Ah.
to get out the back, but I'm
Ah.
still.
That's
So
a
my
fair
philosophy
point.
change, but the system in how I get my philosophy over to my players might change.
That's a very fair point.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Alexander.
Okay. A year ago, to be precise, I watched a game in the Emirates Stadium. It was Everton versus Arsenal, and the same thing that Mr. Williams was talking about, where at the number 3 push up, and one of the sixes went and filled in that space. And yes, I was watching the game, but I was basically watching the system of how Arsenal play. Okay, and it's something I've seen with Arsenal, where if one of the six, if the 2 or the 3 push up, either sixes always fill in that gap, for just in case there's any break. Okay. About my question is, if there's a possibility at that a six push up into the attack also and get the numbers up. Because my thing is, I have to get my numbers up. Because in the end, I have to have majority of ball possession, playing out from the back, and get my numbers up. And I never lose with that system. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, how I can do anything different?
Well, I would suggest, as some of the other guys would have said, you play to the strengths of your own team. Because personally speaking, firstly, I wouldn't necessarily look at any professional team and make adjustments to my team based on any other team, professional or otherwise. But I would look to the strengths, as Coach Fabian was mentioning. I think that was a wonderful suggestion. You have a particular philosophy, you have a particular idea of how football should be played. You can make adjustments to that based on the players available to you and the quality of your training session, because we can't miss that point. I think Sammy alluded to it, that he has 9 particular sets of movements. I don't know if he plays chess, because I have a chess coach that tells me that we have a certain set amount of movements that you make before you can even start an attack. And you have to be able to rehearse those set plays to be able to get in an advanced stage in chess. So that said, I would be able to look at my players, coach my players accordingly, and move forward from there.
Yeah, but you said something about knowing your opponent. Okay.
Yeah.
In the league that we play, okay, it's like majority of the time, it's the first time we play in a team. So, it's like majority of the time during the game we have to assess.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. So it's not basically teams that we play every season.
All right. So we can move on now to, and I think this will be the last slide for the night because I had a long day. I'm accustomed to these long days anymore with these COVID restrictions. We can talk about attack in the middle, from the middle third to the attacking third. We talk about the orientation of the six playing very deep and centrally, being the quarterback of the team, so to speak. He controls the tempo of the game. He would dictate the direction of the attack and be able to be the person to switch the point of attack. It was suggested earlier, maybe in a different formation or even a different orientation in the same formation, that maybe the 4 or the 5 might be the player to switch the point of attack. But in this particular one, the 6 will do that job. In this scenario, the 8 and the 10 can literally be matched up against their 6 and their 8, trying to shuttle into the spaces between the lines of their 6 and 8 and their back line. The 7 and the 11 can provide support in wide areas. If the ball is on their side, they can be direct, playing one-on-one or creating 2v1 situations with the 2 or the 3 that will be the overlapping players. I have an arrow suggesting that the 9 can drop in, but more often than not, I would ask my 9 to play as high as possible. Again, it's dependent on the individual that you have playing in the position. And on the opposite side, the 3, if the ball is going the right side, the 3 will come around to make a 3-man back line as the 4 and the 5 slide to cover ball side for any transitions from attack to defense. Yeah, and that's basically it. Any variations to that? Anyone? Would you have the 3 pushing on? Would you suggest that only 2 defensive players, being the 4 and the 5, are necessary in those deep line positions with the 6?
Part of this to deal with the quality of the players, right? So
speak up, I can't hear anything. Say that again.
I say part of this too has to be the quality of your players and their ability to keep possession of the ball, right? So
definitely.
So I could understand why Patrick tends to be conservative. Maybe his players aren't that good at.
They need some more work technically.
Right. At the same time, I understand both ways of thinking of it. Obviously, it's all based on your players and what you want to do. So, for example, I've recognized Real Madrid doing it regular, which is the 2 and the 3, they're always gone.
Yeah.
They're always up the field. Rather than looking to say one push-up at a given time, what it does, it pushes the 7 and the 11 narrow to occupy all 4 of the back players. And the 2 and 3 actually give the width. I think Liverpool as well does a similar thing where both of the wing backs go up the field. And that would obviously mean once the 7 and 11 of the opposition team doesn't track back, then obviously it's an opportunity to overload on the outside. What it also does is if they do track back, it means they have a longer distance to cover to counter you.
Yeah.
In that context. So it's based again on the quality of the players you have and how brave you are.
Well said, sir. How deep would you have your 6 in that scenario? Because if you suggest Real Madrid, the Real Madrid situation might see the 6 dropping a lot deeper than maybe a Liverpool situation, because I've been made to understand that the situation that hampered Liverpool was because of the lack of a 6. They pushed Fabinho to play the centre-back role, and they had Thiago playing there instead. And because Thiago would naturally play much deeper than Fabinho would, that 6 role, there was a lot of space left on the transition from attack to defense, and that's where the problems usually came in recent times, of course.
I think too the capacity of the player in terms of the physicality, in terms of their ability to cover space. So even if you compare the two players you just mentioned, I think Fabinho would be a better player, a better suited player to actually cover the distances a lot better, whereas Thiago may be better technically on the ball and to distribute. So if you look at it from a defensive perspective, on the transition side, you could actually see that particular point that you're bringing across as well. But I think too, it also has to do with confidence of the team and the players and the belief that they have. I think that too then dictates some of the positioning of the players. So for example, like you mentioned, a Fulham, their defensive midfielder would be like, boy, we're gonna lose it, and so I put myself in a position.
Put my team out.
The weaker or the lesser teams may be like, yo, we're gonna lose it just now, so I need to be in a deeper position to recover. Whereas other teams, once they're confident, the line tends to be a little higher, and they want to instigate what is happening, not necessarily respond to what is happening, but more control or dictate what is taking place.
So you specifically, what type of player would you prefer to see in your team if you had a choice of any type of player to play that sixth position in this particular scenario? You prefer Fabinho type that can be able to cover the ground? Would you prefer Thiago type that will be able to have an extended range of passing? You can't have a mix of two. Do not sit on the fence. You cannot sit. This is your program, sir.
Team should ask
in?
Should ask me.
Yeah. Well, we already know a Busquets. You
one man playing the boy, Sergio Busquets.
Guys,
some people are saying that it's Busquets that bring down Barcelona here. Yeah?
Whatever you want to say. One man playing it.
Not me.
but just a quick comment.
Go ahead, Patrick.
No, you go ahead. You sure?
What I was gonna say is I think for me, one of the best in the position, the position would then obviously be determined by the style that you have and the system you have. For example, I wouldn't say Busquets would fit Liverpool's sixth position.
He would not.
He's ideal for Barcelona way of playing. But even though he may be missing a beat or two, he still can show his quality. So for me, the six would be dependent on the system of play that you're trying to. But obviously,
so again, I asked you specifically about what you
I'm getting this. Okay, so obviously, right. for me, because I want the player must be technically gifted to play different ranges of passing, control the tempo of play, and be very good on the physical and technical side. So the physical side, the ability to go backward and forward.
You just sat on the fence, sir.
No, I did not.
So Fabinho or Thiago?
Well,
I wouldn't choose either of them. I would choose Kimmich. Kimmich.
You choose a right back.
Hey,
Patrick.
Kimmich. What's the other one? Goretzka. Yeah. That would be me. Yeah,
Hey, Goretzka and Kimmich is two different types of players, huh?
Listen, number 6 is supposed to be your strongest two-way player. He's got offensive and
Patrick, start again. Don't talk about what you would like.
Don't
say what's supposed to be.
No. Well, this is me talking. And ask yourself, when I say something, ask yourself if it makes sense.
I beg to differ.
Good. Okay. You can tell me after. No, let me finish.
You're number 8.
Let me finish.
Hold on. Go ahead, Patrick.
Your number 6 is a Kante. You guys remember Michael Essien? Remember him?
For Chelsea and for Real Madrid.
I believe Essien was an 8 though.
Yes.
I believe so too. I believe
Guys.
SCN was an 8 as well.
Yeah.
SCN was an 8. Are you serious? The Ghanaian?
Yeah,
Yes.
man.
Ghanaian?
Yes.
Up and down.
Are you serious?
Yes.
He was well. He could play an 8, but that's the point. He is really a 6, defensive, strong. He can put the ball from his defensive 18-yard line
So
and find someone.
Patrick,
That's the
Patrick,
type of player the 6 is.
I'll give you a different way of looking at
The
it.
6
What
is
if
a midfield sweeper.
I'll give you a different way of looking at it. You're looking at a 6 in the context of an 8. What if you're looking at a 6 in the context of a 4?
Of a 4. Why
Yes.
would you do that? Why would you do that in the context of a 4?
Beckham.
Why would
As
you
a
do that?
4.
He's in the
As
6,
a
he's in the
4.
midfield. Of
As
course,
a
in the
4.
back.
As a 4. Yeah, you see,
Same thing, but if he has both qualities, though.
Hold on. You just said SCN had the role and the function of going forward and getting back. That's the context of an 8. So I'm saying, what if the 6 I like is the context of a 4? So they are ones who can play better from behind.
You're saying the same. That's not what you said before. If you're
That's what I
6,
said.
no. You said if you want your role of the 6 to play the 4. I understand that.
No.
That's what you're saying.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the 6 can be looked at in 2 ways. It's a 6 coming from an 8 position, meaning he has more qualities that are closer to the 8 versus a 6 who have qualities closer to that of a 4. Yes.
To a 4, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's your choice. But they both have a combination of the qualities, correct?
Yeah.
They both have the offensive and defensive, enough defensive and offensive qualities that you could trust them there. That's all I'm saying. He should
but then again, based on what you have been saying tonight, your 6 is really a 4.
No. Here's the other thing. When we no, it's not a 4.
So Patrick is your perfect 6.
No, listen. When we have the ball, let me finish this. When we have the ball, we are going forward. I meant to say that before. He's not going to sit back and play in the 10. The 10 will be picked up by the 9, and my 6 moves on. Because we have the ball. We let them worry about coming to get it.
Patrick, who's your perfect 6?
Who's my perfect 6? I just mentioned SCN. I mentioned the defensive midfielder from Real Madrid.
But SCN is not a 6.
Hold on, Alexander. That's the style he wants.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask
you. Don't try to defend your point.
I'm not defending my point. I'm asking what's his name? Where did he see? Where has he seen SCN play? The gentleman who saying that. Don't just let him answer. Let him answer.
Oh, we play with Chelsea. Chelsea.
How long ago?
Huh?
How long ago?
And then he went to Real Madrid.
Okay, SCN, not SCN. Take SCN, exactly. For me,
hold on.
Gentlemen.
Because I'm younger than you, I coach against you, Patrick.
Gentlemen.
I coach with Lehman College.
Hold on.
College.
Okay, I'm not going to answer that. I'm just going to finish this one point. Here's my point, right? Okay, when as Caribbean coaches, you talk about philosophy and attitude. Could you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're gonna come back in, Alexander. You're gonna come back in.
He's coming. I'm on a different topic. I just wanted to say this. We are sitting here. We're not coaching Arsenal, and we're not coaching Man City. Here's something that you guys don't realize. When you coach a Caribbean team, you've got to coach that team to be able to get by CONCACAF teams. The CONCACAF teams you're going to play against, 90% of the times, they have more foreign players, they have more experienced players, they have better technical players. Okay? So you better learn how to coach Caribbean team. I'm just saying in general, whoever's coaching the Caribbean team better know how to coach team defense because you're under the gun already. So you can't tell me, well, Man City doesn't do this. You can't do what Man City does when you're coaching Barbados against Costa Rica, St. Vincent against Honduras, or you're playing against Mexico or the US. You can't.
Patrick, okay? That's a very fair point. I know it's a fair point. Absolutely agree.
I'm not even saying
absolutely agree with what you're talking about right
I'm not even saying it, but that's the context I'm coaching in, because that's what I know. And for years, Caribbean teams are good going forward, but their team defense has always been poor. For a long
Not just
time.
defensively, transitioning from
they're
attack
poor.
to defense.
Exactly, very poor. Trinidad just picked up 7 from the US. That's not what you want to
We
do.
spoke about that earlier.
So when you hear me talk about you must have depth when you go forward, please have depth when you go forward. And have as many guys behind the ball. It's easier to come from behind the ball and then go forward. Okay? And let's take care of where the ball is. Let's be compact. Sammy is worried about space between the goalkeeper and your back 4. Yeah, that's the risk you take. But the weak side, wherever the ball is only on one side at a time. Wherever that weak side is, he cannot go. He has to be ready to cover because one long ball is going to beat you 4 and your 5, and here comes your 3 to cover. So please, when you guys think about these things, think about coaching a Caribbean team against the US because you don't get too many chances to even practice against them. You know, Jamaica's playing the US on the 25th. You guys know that, right? That's the advantage Jamaica has that Caribbean teams don't have. They're playing the US on the 25th somewhere in Europe. So they get practice against the US. Trinidad got 7 against the US. Please, let's start with team defense and then we can go from there. That's all I'm saying.
On that note, guys, I'm a young married man. And my wife, she's hinting at me. So
well, look, Wayne, it was excellent, really. I think you did an excellent job. Never mind the going back and forth. That's football, man.
Yeah, man.
Everybody
I live with that. Thank you very much.
Everybody made excellent contributions tonight. You know, and you know, I think we all learned.
I didn't get to finish the presentation though, but
that's fine. As long as we learn something from it, you know, that's it.
Your way is that presentation part of the B certification in CONCACAF?
No. What I did in the certification part was just about the orientation of your teams, basically. Not even up against any opposition, but that was something I've been trying to show my younger players in terms of understanding movements and variations in movements and that sort of thing. So just to get discussion, similar to what I tried to do here, get discussion, get feedback from the players in terms of what they would prefer to be doing when the ball gets in certain areas of the field.
I just have a question. And me and Mr. Carrington, we discuss this all the time. Are the difference within our certification up here and you guys in CONCACAF?
You asked me what's the difference?
Yeah.
I can only speak to what I know, and I know as much as theon. I don't know if you're in close proximity to theon.
Yeah,
He's in America. He's in America.
Oh, he's in America.
Back in America in certification.
Okay. Well, as far as I am being made aware, all certification, we get a little bit from some of everywhere because our coaches have experience and have links, especially in the United States. So they take a little bit and they try to round it up, I want to say, to our Caribbean experience. So for instance, we had in our earlier license courses, we had a lot of US coaches, but in recent times, we've had more Caribbean-based coaches to give us that Caribbean flavor to scenarios and suggest alternatives to what may or may not be, if that helps.
Okay.
So always they try to keep our Caribbean flair, Caribbean style, etc. But they lend a lot from United States, some from South America, some from Europe, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
No problem. Theon, that sounds about right though?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
All right, guys. I don't know if you guys wanted to see some of the other formations because I had, the other systems of play, I had formations.
We'll see if there'll be a part 2. We'll see if there'll be a part 2. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, let's bring Wayne back for part 2. We gotta bring Wayne back for part 2.
I don't know about that one. You can take enough lashes for 1 week, boy.
Listen, Wayne.
I love the discourse though. This is what I do for a living basically. So I like football discussion all the time.
In terms of certifications, I mean, I haven't been to a U.S. class for a while, but you know, it's 6 or 1/2 dozen of the other. The principles are the same and whatnot. Years ago, a fellow called Detmar Kramer came from Germany, and he set up the U.S. system. I'm in the U.S.
Your volume down.
Yeah, I'm having problems here.
Yeah, but Patrick, in terms of certifications, though, what is being recognized are CONCACAF and specifically all licenses really being recognized
across
in the United States. If I come to coach,
I think it's a CONCACAF. Yes.
I will beg to differ.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, gentlemen, there's actually there's a convention on the way. Should happen later on in the year. This convention would basically see a system similar to that of UEFA, where coaches are able to move from different countries within UEFA to coach. And the same context would apply here for the CONCACAF region. So the point of it is really that the licensing done by CONCACAF will be and should be accepted by any CONCACAF nation, as well as once it is of quality, it would then be allowed that coaches could move across the CONCACAF region. The next phase would basically be that you could move across the different confederations. So that discussion should happen by the end of this year.
And you see, with that said, right? You guys in the Caribbean, I'm not sure from Mexico or Costa Rica or Panama or whatever. Okay, you guys select coaches to go and take courses and whether they show up and not, they may show up a couple of days and then they get a certificate.
No, that's not the case.
No, well, that used to be the case.
So Theon.
Hold on, let me finish.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Up here now, we have to apply and pay and book hotels, and then we have to go through a regiment of class. Like it's always a packed session.
Right. So if you were to think about it, really and truly, the reason coaches were not able to move across the region because the quality of the courses were not, should I say, up to standard. Based on your second point, what I could say is the numbers in America is very high for the profession of coaching. In the Caribbean, it's slightly different because it's a volunteering, a context of volunteering. So you may have persons being suggested, the courses may tend to be free up to a certain point in a certain context because the islands are small, so persons to travel to the hotel scenario may not come in. So you have to look at the context of the region as well versus that of America.
I think the difference too is when you do the USSF course, it's a whole 10-day situation and it's more comprehensive.
It's the same process.
Patrick, it's different.
So
it's different now, Patrick.
How is it different? You have your two coaches that are in charge, but then on a different. Let me finish.
Hold on. I feel Sammy should be the one on this because Sammy has experienced both the American.
I was really hoping that Sammy was actually going to try to take the lead on it, but he did not this time. I don't know why.
Sammy was able to experience a recent one and the ones that you guys did.
So. Right.
And the CONCACAF, a recent CONCACAF one?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Sammy. Go ahead.
And it's very similar to what we have here, right? But what the US is doing now for the past 2 years, right? They coming to you to see exactly what you do in practice. You understand?
Right. That is happening as well.
So it's very, very similar. And Scrambler, as you might think, you know, these guys doing a lot of good things down there. Trust me.
Yeah, it's patterned off the U.S. system, Sammy.
Yes, no, it is. It is
Yeah,
because
it is.
yeah, it is.
So my theory of if I want to go and coach in Mexico, the only thing I need to do with my CONCACAF B license right now is to go and learn Spanish.
Not yet. That's what the convention is going to be for. So the convention is going to be to create. It's like it's think of it like how we have the OECS agreement, basically. Where think about it in terms of the OECS, the OECS agreement in the context. Yeah, no, I'm showing him in that context. Let's look at it in the context of Commonwealth. So Commonwealth is a specific group of people that have an agreement. So that's what the convention is gonna be for, to open that particular discussion and to make sure that the right standards are being upheld in the different countries and the different licensing, so that if you wish to go to Mexico, all you need to do is learn Spanish, and the equivalent, your license is accepted in Mexico. That's the basic point.
But the difference in the U.S. now, the U.S. to get a B license, it takes 6 months.
Right.
It would be the same. It's the same context and process here with CONCACAF. So first you get your first 10 days, right?
Yeah.
Then you have about was it 3 months, Wayne? 3 months?
3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
3 months you go back to practice.
3 months
and
of
then
practical.
Right, and then you go back again, and then you have another assessment, and then they basically decide.
I think it was 12 weeks in between though.
12 in, yeah, about, so you get the point. It's similar in that context. So you first go in, you go back to practice, then you come back again, and then you.
So you basically came to Barbados 3 separate times to do the one.
Correct. Yeah.
And it is $5,000 up here.
Guys,
we're not a privilege. We're not a privilege.
Well, I get put up in nice hotel, I get nice food. Eating shrimp and lobster thing on courses.
$5,000 without hotel and travel.
Guys, I mean, you guys who are bright and stuff like that, you know, I'm just worried about the guys them who starting out and, you know, have to start from, you know, the D to the C to the, you know, to the B and stuff like that, you know, and there's so much that they're missing from that, and it's not just, you know, attending these, you know, them 10-day class and stuff like that. It's a lot of information, man. It's a lot of information.
That's why there's the practice period. So you come in for your 10 days, you go back and you practice, then we visit you, see what you're doing, then you come back in again. So the process is continuous, really.
I've actually had situations that I had to email plans and stuff to what is his name, Joe Supe in LA.
Wayne.
And be in collaboration with him while I was still working on the C, far less the B.
Yeah. Wayne, yes, your presentation today, it was a tremendous presentation.
I appreciate that, sir.
And what I like, yes, the scenario is that, you know, that you guys emphasize in teaching, you know. I mean, I don't like that at all. I don't like scenarios. You understand? Yeah. I just think how I really learn it, and you know, I didn't learn this in a coaching. You know, my boss was an Italian. You understand? And he was the liaison for the Italian national team in 1994. And these guys focus on defense. You understand? And when I look at Barbados, the teams in Barbados play, I look at St. Kitts, I look at Grenada, I look at St. Vincent, and the first thing I see, there's no shape in the back at all. And from the time I see that, I say something is wrong. Something is wrong. We rely on these 4 guys in the defense to stop a team from playing, and it could never happen. You understand? And I'm afraid I can't wait until next week, next Wednesday, and we're going to see that right across the board. You understand? So when all these scenarios that you guys are putting us in here, I mean, it's so much information that they have to do in practice. This all of Patrick is talking about shadow. What? Shadow? Are you kidding me? Shadow? You have to have the real thing. You have to execute that every possession you have.
You have to understand what Patrick is talking about. He's talking about the teaching process. So first he explains, then he shadows it, then he increases pressure and that kind of stuff until
he didn't say that.
Well, no, that's what.
Sammy, you're supposed to know that, Sammy. That's what shadow is without the ball.
That's what he's talking about.
What are you
Okay,
talking
I'm
about?
thinking, right?
You ever do shadow play for your team, Sammy? Come on, now. You know that.
I'm thinking, right?
How else you gonna teach them? You hit starts on the procedure and form, and then you go from there.
I'm thinking, right? All this information you give today. Could you imagine you coaching our national team and you're preparing for next week and you have to go through all of these things?
You just wouldn't have nine separate people.
But Sammy, you don't need all of these things. No. Listen, guys. Okay, you don't need all of those things. That's what I'm saying. If you start with basically how to team defense, offense is a lot of offense. Most of offense is ad lib. A lot of it is ad lib. Okay, men know how to walk, pass well quickly, and get a shot off. So
I don't agree with
offense. No. What I'm saying is defense is much harder, than offense.
I would disagree with that.
Well, let me finish. You're talking about getting a team to coach a team in a short space of time. Where would you start? You start with team defense, denying space, okay, and then you go from there.
Do you think that's a philosophical discussion? Do you think that's something that should be taught up front in a license? To say this needs to be taught up front, or you suggest that it's just based on the coach philosophy thinking it's defense that we need to focus on right now?
Listen, Wayne, I just want to say one thing. I'm not saying teaching it.
Well, I've read this in a license book, huh?
Well, yeah, you could teach it, but listen.
They said exactly what you said, huh?
Yeah, but here's the point, though. Again, anytime you coach, you ask yourself, you ask your coaches, you ask your team if it makes sense.
I'll ask a question there. A coach who believes that he needs to defend to win versus a coach who believes he needs to attack to win. Do you think they would have the same posture in the way they set up the team?
First of all, are you coaching off? Let me ask, if you take over the team. No. Let me ask you a question. You take over the team. What are the first things you're going to teach?
Again.
I didn't ask you that. No, you. What are the first things you're going to teach?
Me?
Yeah. I would teach defense first.
Exactly, it's common sense. You got common sense.
Just to answer the question, is Melissa 12 in Barbados? Just to answer the question, I would teach defense first.
Theon, first of all, how are you going to get it? When you lose the ball, how are you going to get it back?
And from grassroots level, it didn't even
let Theon answer. Let Theon answer. Theon, how do you get the ball back when you lose it?
Patrick.
No, don't. I know my name. Answer the question. I know my name, Theon. Answer me.
Patrick, you want me to answer you, but you're not answering me. Why?
Calling my name. I want to hear the answer.
Why you ain't answering me? I asked you a question first.
I just said that.
My question was a coach who is thinking defend to win versus a coach who's thinking attack to win. Would their posture be the same in the way they go about coaching?
Your posture.
That was my question.
But listen, right. So if I'm starting from my defense,
no.
What? Because I would have it probably would be different, but it would be detrimental too.
What?
Very
Look at
how you gonna get the ball? Theon, you have to learn how to defend first.
Why had to learn how to defend first? Why?
How are you gonna get the ball? How are you gonna win the ball, Theon? How are you gonna pressure, channel the ball somewhere? How are you gonna cover? Explain to me. How are you gonna tackle?
How are you gonna score?
When you get the ball, you know what you could do? If you get the ball and you have one man up there along with speed. If I put
Jose Marino.
Guys, I want to jump in right here. Patrick.
I just want
to help.
One point before
it's been said.
I would rather.
Give me 1 second. It's been suggested because Theon playing with you. It's been suggested, and in the same CONCACAF books they have to change it. But they said that players have a natural propensity to attack. So in terms of coaching, they would suggest to you to coach defending first if you have a short space of time, because a natural propensity to attack you can go through sessions a lot faster. So you get your defense in order, you get a defensive shape in order, then you can go on and go ahead and
because in the Caribbean or wherever, as soon as you hit the ball, them fellas go and run on the dribble. It's easier
I don't even think it's limited to
it's easier to go score a goal than to be all defensively, communication, organization, moving at the right time.
My philosophy: if you score 10, I can score 11.
Boom bang. Boom bang.
I would want you coaching my team.
Boom bang. You would never get us a Vincent job.
Is it gonna happen?
You would never get us a Vincent job.
Okay, listen. St. Vincent played Kerry, so
that is Real Madrid. That's Real Madrid.
But you're not coaching Real Madrid.
You see, that's my point. That is my point. That is the point I'm bringing across. You're saying what you are saying. No, you're saying what you are talking about is common sense. And what I am saying is not common sense. But I'm giving you scenarios where the opposite is done, but still you can't accept of what I'm saying.
When you say the opposite, what's the opposite?
Yeah.
The opposite is going done with St. Vincent team, with a Caribbean team?
Talking about St. Vincent team. I'm not talking about St. Vincent team.
You have to.
I am not.
This is who you coach.
You asked me a hypothetical question and I gave you an answer based on that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then again, you see how all the difficulty in this place, eh? See how all the difficulty, right? When more quick talk defense and building solid, all the complain how you ain't attacking them. But now you're coming back with the same talk. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. You just get to practice. You just get to practice, right? And you have your soccer balls. You put them down. You setting up. What is the first thing? What is the first thing the kids regularly do?
They will kick the ball. They will kick the ball.
Kick the ball where?
In the goal.
Oh, right.
Exactly.
They run and play and kick and dribble. That's what they do.
No, Patrick.
I know some players that want tackle there. I know some players that will run and want to tackle.
They just want to kick the ball in the goal.
Exactly. And that's what Caribbean teams are going forward.
Ain't nothing but run and kick.
All right, let me ask you a question.
All right, guys, I gotta step out though, guys.
Yeah, you step out.
Thanks a lot, guys.
William,
good job.
Usually we leave at 12:30. You know, tell her
No, I can't leave at 5:30 at all.
12:30. What?
God, teach.
My wife is gone sleep since
I realize you come in the people discussion. You have all your pajamas already. I should have taken a hit from that.
Wayne, what's the feeling? Wayne, what's the feeling in Barbados, in Dominican Republic? What's the feeling there? How are they doing?
There's one of the games that I think they'll win for sure, and the other one they're not too sure about.
Which one is that?
The Spurs usually very high.
Who are they playing? Who are they playing first?
Gosh, they're playing.
The St. Kitts?
Not St.
No,
Kitts.
it's St. Kitts.
Antigua. I think they're playing Antigua.
El Salvador.
Right, but they're playing Antigua, I think, too. So they think they can win against Antigua.
Okay, good.
St. Kitts playing Montserrat.
Montserrat got a lot of English players, you know.
Yeah.
English players.
And it's my brother in them.
Okay.
Guys, I saw the Grenada team, and they have at least 10, 11 foreign players.
All right, guys, good night.
Blessings.
Wayne. Next time, you know, just go away.
Make time.
Plan for 5 o'clock. Plan for 5 o'clock. Put on my pajamas so early. I put on my pajamas so early. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, man, blessings.
All right.
Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate it.
Theon.
Hey, buddy.
Theon, all this information today, right? Our coaches, how we guys over to them?
Well, Theon should give us a little report on how the national team is.
No.
What chance they have. No, Theon. See, it's serious.
Yeah, Theon, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. Why the other club coaches is not on here?
This is not we just do this every week, and every week we just have this conversation, you know, every week.
I understand that every week.
This is not mandatory for people to be here.
But you think it's mandatory for me to left work, go coach soccer, and come on this?
No. So what does it say about? First, I can't guarantee you that all coaches from the different clubs know about it. That's not. I can't guarantee on that.
What?
I can't guarantee you on that.
Yeah, you gotta put that out there.
I cannot guarantee you that. So that's the first. Next, I don't know what people's obligations are. And next, I don't know what where their interests lie in terms of coaching. So it's a question I can't really answer. Next, do people think that the information here is credible and it's information they could use? So it's a lot of things you have to consider.
Yeah, but you still gotta put it out there, bro.
Yeah, I put it out as much as I can. I try to promote it.
Oh
but
God, come on, when we put it out, we want him to do it. We want to get look guy policeman and you know.
It's first time you're gonna harass them, man.
Yeah, and how could we see St. Vincent's games in Curacao? Is there any broadcast?
Sammy the man for that. Sammy the man will tell you how to get that.
Any radio broadcast? Anybody from Nice Radio going down?
Listen.
No, nobody
when the game comes on next week, all you have to do, look at Shadell. Tap into her Facebook.
Shadell, who's Shadell?
Shadell is the biggest Vinci fan. Shadell will have the game. I just looking at Shadell, and she will have the game.
I think it's coming on CONCACAF.
Sure. I think it's gonna be pay-per-view though. I think it will be pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
It's like 3 games at the same time.
Guys, we have a listen, man. I think we have a pretty good team. You know, I mean, Kyle is there, Olex is there, Connie is there. I mean, you know, I'm not sure about the midfield. You understand?
But you just call what? Key front players.
Mm-hmm.
What about the midfield?
That's what he just said. That's what he just said. He's not sure about the midfield.
You just call T-ball over the top.
So wait a minute. No, listen to that, man. With all the information we got tonight, that was going through my mind. You understand? But you know, let me just leave it as what it is.
We need to
send
Go ahead. Defensive midfielder.
Okay.
That's the urgent need. We are sure got to know. I really goes. We need 2 center backs and defensive midfielder.
So you said Sutherland is not that good. Jarvin is not fell off. Is that doing well?
They would be.
No, just the levels to this thing and levels to this thing.
But then I'm talking about what your best. Is he one of your better defenders?
I think so. Yes.
Man, let me tell you something. I rate defenders. You know, we have 4 of the best defenders in the history of St. Vincent.
Mine is delayed.
In terms of Butu, Corny, Ford, and who's the next one?
Ezra.
And Ezra.
You guys know Ezra. You know Ezra's in hospital, right?
How's he doing?
I don't know how he's doing, but I think he's still in the hospital.
Okay. These 4 guys, right? I mean, when they talk about
would you have this
play
flat?
Connie,
Would you have it as it is now?
and when I see the guys then that we have now, right? It's not even fair. You understand? But give it to Mokri. For what Mokri, man, let me tell you something. I tell Mokri, you have to be the best coach, honestly. Because for you to get results with these guys, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
Honestly, incredible. I don't know how he does it.
We're just about 11 months into the pandemic. And just like other countries around the world, we have been practicing, we have been preaching about hand sanitizing, keeping your distance, wearing your mask. Today in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are here at the Levi Latham Health Complex, where we're going to have the first group of our health professionals being given the COVID-19 vaccine Sputnik. Really excited here this afternoon, and we are looking forward for this to be a very fruitful process. We have a number of our healthcare professionals from across different fields, including our medical officer, Dr. Roger Duncan, Dr. Gerald Thompson, our health disaster coordinator, Ms. Bascom, among some others. So come, let's explore this process.
Well, this is indeed a very good day for public health in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a good day for the Ministry of Health, indeed a good day for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as far as COVID-19 is concerned and our fight to battle this particular scourge. The volunteers who have taken the vaccine today are at the front line of our fight against the pandemic. And of course, it is fitting that they become the vanguard in respect of the vaccine which we have taken. This is the Sputnik 5 vaccine. I've heard that it has good reviews in the scientific community. It was given to us by a benefactor, and we have more to get from different platforms. We anticipate those, and we hope that in the coming months, our fight against this pandemic will be enhanced by the acquisition of more vaccines and more distribution. So I'm happy that the volunteers have come forward, and I hope that we will have an anti-vax sentiment after this throughout the country, because vaccine is a very good fight against the pandemic. So thank you very much.
This is the moment that we have been waiting for all across the world. People are getting ready to take the vaccine because vaccine has been and is still is the best method of prevention. And so we have all heard about the burden of the COVID-19, the number of lives it has claimed. And so it is time for us to get the COVID-19 vaccine to give to people, because vaccine has been the best method of prevention from getting corona in the future.
I count myself extremely fortunate to be the first person in the nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not the first Vincent, but the first person in the nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to receive a COVID-19 vaccine, and specifically the Sputnik 5 vaccine. And I did this because after doing my investigations, I was extremely confident that this vaccine is probably one of the safest vaccines around to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. And I demonstrated my confidence by being top of the line, at the top of the line.
I'm doing the same thing.
Because I'm also confident that if we are going to get this pandemic under control, vaccine is and will be a fundamental part of the management.
My team,
all the other things that we do, yes, would help.
Because my defensive midfield, right?
But I think
it's the hardest
fundamentally,
it's the hardest position.
The vaccine is going to be the linchpin in terms of bringing this pandemic under control. And I think is
and we have
something that we, most of us, or all of us,
the problem with Sauce, right?
Endeavor to do.
He want to spread the ball.
Get
from deep down there. We don't want to do that.
I'm really honored
we want him
to be part of the first 5 individuals to receive
because we have these
vaccine in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As you know, through the COVAX, we are going to be receiving a certain volume, certain number of these vaccines for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. No doubt we'll be starting with healthcare workers, then persons who may be more elderly, then later on the diabetics and hypertensive and those who are vulnerable, before we move on to those frontline workers, the policemen, the customs officers. It's all going to be done in a phase depending on the amount of vaccine that we
do that really, really, really well. You understand? So that the guys them could overlap and overload around the 18. And I think that really make us successful. Vincent John, what a player.
Bow.
Man.
You know, me about under 16 national.
Right.
And under 17.
But the fun part of it, And I usually just say that the fun part of it, right? You have Chang who love to come back on the right side for the ball.
And run with it.
And you have Ezra going the same side. So I used to just watch them and have them just figure it out. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can't tell Ezra he's not overlapping. And you can't tell Chang he's not coming back for that ball. Man, we used to have so much fun with these guys. You understand? But I think, we have the three guys up front. They're very dangerous players.
Yeah,
because of their speed. So all we need is another 2 or 3 guys just to, meet them in the 18 up there now.
Yeah.
Somehow, if you could do that, I think that,
Monkey plays, though. I don't think that's how Monkey plays.
Right.
Monkey more seems like him more. Well, now I see him trying to build from the back. I actually see him really doing a lot of work with building the ball from back and trying to get him to be patient, hold the ball a bit more. I see that a lot in the training. But
guys, it's easy to build it from the back,
Yo,
You see the press man over here? Anybody would like to press? What's that? You got it?
I sent you a video, Mr. Tian. You look at it?
So I got to see part of one already.
I'm telling you, building from the back is sweet.
Scrambler, listen to me. When you play up there and you building from the back,
Your mic gone. We ain't hearing you. Your internet down. We ain't hearing you. Talk again. We ain't hear you. Go ahead.
When you building from the back up there, Scrambler, the pressure on the ball. You're the sideline and coach. Guess what you say? Kick it up.
No. Yo. I hate that.
You hate that, huh?
I have to build on.
No, Scrambler. What I like about the English League is that all of the teams can build it out of the back. It doesn't matter. I only mentioned Fulham. All of these teams can build it out of the back. All of them.
And I'm wondering why Fulham is in the relegation zone.
So somebody not for the relegation.
Yo, Fulham should not be down there, yo. And Fulham playing.
Even for me, when you watch Sheffield play, you want to know if it's there's a last team, but somebody have to be down there. Sheffield jamming.
Yeah.
The premise of tough now to man.
But guys who belong with them clubs, I mean, it's one club means have like theon clubs. Serious. I like hope. I tell you why, right? Our game is so fast down there. They rely too much on speed. You understand? Exactly. And sometimes, you just have to settle it and, and surprise with the speed and, but everything's 100 miles an hour. 100.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, Sammy. I don't feel like Mokri want to even settle the ball for 2 minutes. I mean, as I say, I see him trying it, but let me see how he play next week. But really, his ball on the channel for Canada, we're not holding.
Okay, let me go back on a point that Sammy made earlier and Alexander made. Who they can get the ball, who hold it up and do all the talking about?
But no, it's a team thing,
Tian, but you have to practice that.
But then, hold on. When Sammy mentioned and called some names, the comment that was made afterwards, he not sure about the midfield. Right? So if you're not sure about the midfield, are you going to play through the midfield?
But then you have no choice. What are you going to do? Take it long all the time?
It takes
the corner back in the face.
So based on the time, the team start to practice.
They had a month. It takes practice.
Yeah, but I actually saw him trying to build. Well, build is probably the wrong word because long ball is building too, but playing through the middle third. Playing through the middle third and not over the middle third. So using the midfield line and progressing the ball.
You know, they always say, like the number 6. Control the one foot and pass with the next. Control the back foot. And this is what I like about the professional games, right? Those guys play 2 touches all the time. And this is why I want my team to... I like to scrimmage, right? When I scrimmage, right? And these guys have a reputation of playing 2 touches all of the time. They control the tempo because it's 2 touches. From one side to the next, boom, 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 2 touches. You understand? And you have to get in that rhythm. This is not no drills and, you know, we call them, you know, you have to keep the ball moving. And what I like, and I'm not a coach in a long time at that level, right? But what I like, right, is them ball to the seams there. From the gaps. In the gaps there. I mean, I love those balls, right? And I'm saying, boy, if I coach in again, at least 15 times in a game, I want to see those balls. And let me tell you something now. You see the goal that Foden set up?
Yeah.
Oh, somehow Foden get away in the midfield. And everybody have to chase him. And that is football. Those are the kind of games I really appreciate. And I like to see we do those kind of stuff.
Yo, Tian, when I did my B, my final topic was playing to the midfield to the offensive third. And I had Carlton Cole. Okay? Carlton Cole used to play for Newcastle.
What's that?
Huh?
What's that?
Was there in my group. So I had him on my field. He was my forward. Okay? And I had another kid who used to play for Newcastle. His name was Mo. And I'm telling you, 3 minutes into my session, stop. So I'm there and I'm thinking, what the fuck did I do? What did I do?
You got it right.
So I'm like, damn.
So who did that class? Dave Clark?
Yeah.
Stian, I spoke to Dave, right? Dave does all of the licensing in the US. And I tell Dave, can't you get permission from US Soccer and come to the Caribbean? And this is years ago, you know. And he thinks
you talking about Dave Sarkan?
No, Dave Clark.
Okay.
Dave Clark.
Sarkan, you know, Sarkan got the job in Puerto Rico, you know that, right?
Yeah. Okay. And I tell Dave, if you know, I mean, but if you see Dave team play, you know, Dave don't play at the back, you know.